Hello and welcome back to a brand new episode of the Pick a Side podcast. My name is Joel Moran and I'm here with River Brown, Andrew Velez, and Joe Dehls. And this is now episode 263. In this episode, we're going to react to Aaron Rodgers saying he wants to join the Jets. Mojo Investments, top free agent signings, winners and losers, early NFC East favorite, Jordan Love versus Justin Fields, and top cornerback tandems. Shout out to everybody watching on YouTube right now. We got 100 live viewers.
Shout out to the people.
Oh man, how you guys feeling?
I feel great.
Aaron Rodgers
I feel great.
wants to be a Jet.
It's one of the best days of my life. Like, I'm not even gonna lie to anyone who's listening out there. Today is one of the best days of my life.
Listen, we got Aaron Rodgers, baby. That's all that matters. And I said
Aaron Rodgers wants you.
yes.
I don't know if that means you got Aaron
We're
Rodgers.
gonna get him though. There's no
There we
doubt.
go.
And I don't know if you guys know, but let Joe Moran cook. You know, it's a hashtag started on my burner. But we got to keep the ball rolling because early in the offseason, Nostradamus, I said Aaron Rodgers was coming to the Jets. A lot of you guys, especially the audience, said you're not going to get him, just wishful thinking. Aaron Rodgers, the writing was always on the wall. We got Nathaniel Hackett to lure in Aaron Rodgers. And, I mean, the icing on the cake was signing Alan Lazard yesterday. I mean, it was obvious. Alan Lazard, the Lizard King. That's my guy.
The Lizard King, come
It's
on.
nuts.
It's Sammy,
Sammy
Watkins.
Watkins.
The real no.
No, he's the Lizard King.
Come on, yo.
Alan Lazard.
Real.
No. How are you going to turn your back on Alan Lazard?
He's a great wide receiver 3. You were trying to push him as this wide receiver 1,
No, I
1,000
was
yards.
not. I was never trying to push him. Well, I said he'd get 1,000 yards.
He would have been their
last
wide
year.
receiver 1.
Well, the reason why I said he'd get 1,000 yards last year was because of opportunity.
Yeah.
But you see, listen, this is an amazing story about Alan Lazard. This is why I respect him so much as a man. He bet on himself. 1 year, $4 million deal. He knew he was going to get the opportunity in Green Bay. He had a good season, and he was the second most coveted wide receiver on the open market. And he gets signed, and he gets a big time bag. So shout out to Alan Lazard for getting that big time
Everyone's getting
bag.
claps today. Everyone's getting claps.
Everybody is getting claps today because today is a day worth clapping about. Because Aaron Rodgers is coming to the Jets. Before we get into Aaron Rodgers, let's talk about Boom Fantasy. Talk about playback.
Claps going
So
on, I see.
on Twitter yesterday, I asked the Twitter audience, what game do you guys want to see us watch tonight? It's tonight, fellas. And the game they want us to watch is Clippers versus Warriors at 10 p.m. Eastern time. So that is the game we will watch. I will drop down the link in the chat down below so you guys can go sign up for playback. We'll be live on playback. Make sure you guys watch. You guys can come up on stage with us, talk to us, ask us questions, debate with us, be interactive in the comments. It's a really cool experience. And Boom Fantasy, you know, we got March Madness coming up, but that's tomorrow. Boom Fantasy picks for today. You guys won yesterday, Jalen Williams, PRA, and you got Giannis over a steal and block. I lost.
One steal,
RJ
one
Barrett
block.
had 22 points. Should have had 23 or more, but Tom Thibodeau, for some reason, played it for 28 minutes.
You probably saw.
Y'all were smoking the Blazers. That third quarter, that game last night was lit.
At the
That
time,
game was crazy.
I thought RJ should have still got some minutes down the stretch, but you know Tom Thibodeau.
He's been cooking.
Yeah.
RJ's been cooking recent last 2 games.
Today, I know this is an NFL show, but Draymond Green said on his podcast, the energy has shifted. So
that's how
we're
you're
going on the
feeling?
road. We're going to start winning games.
2 wins in that
Yeah.
energy.
And he said they had a conversation. He was like, they had a conversation. They know it's time to really step their shit up.
Did
So
the
it starts
Celtics
today.
sign for that?
They are. Definitely our son.
So it starts today with the Clippers, unfortunately. Hate it had to be them.
We'll see. We'll
Should
see
get
if
that
you
done.
guys finally get that road
Well,
win.
either-
If
I
energy
wouldn't-
really has shifted, you should get it done.
I win
Clippers
regardless.
haven't been playing well.
I win regardless.
Oh
So,
my
You know, Russell
God.
Wilson has the best net rating on their team right now, right?
Westbrook? Mhm.
Yeah, he does.
No,
He's
yeah.
actually
He hasn't been
playing
bad.
well.
Two of the losses they love to blame, he didn't even play down the stretch. So it's like,
Oh, there's a reason.
well, that's what I'm saying. You can't really blame him for the L's.
People just love going with that narrative. They don't
Yeah.
care how he plays. It's
like in the
just, they
Kings
lose,
game, if you
it's
want
on
to
him.
blame somebody, you have to blame Eric Gordon. Fact.
Facts.
Fucking
Eric
bum.
Gordon has
He's been
all
good,
right.
though.
You can
lately.
blame Eric Gordon or you can blame Paul George. Or are you talking about the OT?
First one.
Facts. Got
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, but RJ should have hit the over. But today, the over will be hit because I'm betting on Joel Embiid over 31.5 points.
Playing
Joel
Cleveland.
Embiid, I don't care.
Okay.
I don't care if he's playing. He could be playing.
I looked at that line too. I only hesitated because of Cleveland, but it is Joel
He
Embiid.
could be playing against anybody. Joel Embiid right
Right.
now is a man on a mission to win the most valuable player award. I took his odds when it was plus 370. Right now it's plus 220.
Come.
You know, I took it, on a come up.
This 3-game
On a
skid from the
come up.
Nuggets. It's,
Yeah,
it's
it's
Yeah.
less than you.
it's
Yeah.
got Vegas
I
thinking
know.
different.
I know. That's why, I wrote a tweet yesterday. They got a lot of backlash, but then the love kind of overweighted as time went by
Good. I'm happy for
about
that.
Jokic not trying. But listen, if Jokic does not want to try down the stretch, I'm totally fine. And I'm not saying that Jokic
Do you want to
is not
reword
trying.
yourself right now while we're on the
Well,
podcast?
the rewording is
There we go.
that if Nikola Jokic hypothetically did have in his brain that he wants to coast the season to not really win MVP, I'm totally fine with that because I think that the pressure on him if he wins 3 in a row is going to be really annoying from the media. And I don't think he wants to be talked about and in the media all the time like he is right now. So, I definitely agree with my statement still, but that's from my perspective.
Yeah.
If he did not want to really try down the stretch and just coast, I'd be fine with it.
Big Ja Morant news. Woj just tweeted out that Ja met with NBA Commissioner Adam Silver in New York today. Ja has left counseling program in Florida and moves closer to ramping up for return to the season.
Interesting.
That is interesting. Hopefully he's back for the
hilarious.
playoffs. But yeah, Joel Embiid, 31.5 points tonight. That's what I'm taking. He's going to win MVP this year. I have a feeling about it. It's just in my gut. I have a feeling. Now, Drew, what's your boom pick for today?
My boom pick for today is going to be D'Angelo Russell, 21.5. Is it 21.5? 22.5. I apologize. For the sole fact that Anthony Davis is not playing tonight. And Houston, they love to give up a lot of points. And D'Angelo Russell has been cooking since his return. Yesterday, we were smoking the Pelicans, light work, so he really didn't have to do too much. But tonight, he's going to be the guy that we rely on 100%. And against the Rockets defense that is very, very lenient, I'm expecting D'Lo to cook up.
Oh, man. Today, I'm going Zach LaVine over with the assists, man. First of all, he's been cooking this month. He's been on the scoring output. His last couple games, he's hit 4 assists, 5 assists, 4 assists, 5 assists. So I'm going to take the gamble. Zach's been amazing, though. And this is what the offense looks like with him at the helm. And I'm excited to see. We haven't been winning as many games. We're still in the play-in hunt. But you love to see Zach be healthy and do his thing. So that's what I'm going with.
I'll tell you what, this speaks on DeMar and his leadership also, realizing, hey, listen, I know I'm great, but it's time. It's time for me to put the ball in.
Been asking for it.
No doubt. We've been asking for this for a minute because we understand. No doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt.
It's been long.
I don't know.
They waited until what, January, February?
It must have been either DeMar said to Zach or they kind of just had like a mutual agreement. Zach's got to start being more aggressive because
he's finally healthy, he said. Like,
that's too.
Fully.
That too. I mean, you see his bounce. You see the way that he's attacking the rim and stuff. He looks like himself.
Thank God, it's been years.
So, question: why did you go with the assists over the points?
The points was high.
The points are scary.
It was 28.
It's very scary.
Yeah, but Zach LaVine's scoring 30.
He has, but you never won for me personally. I didn't pick for Riv, but this is I saw that line and decided against it. It's a flat number because he scores 28. I'm gonna be sick.
You get the tie, or you get the L for us.
Yeah,
you don't even get the.
Oh, really? Right?
Or do you just get a win?
Do you get a no win?
No win, no loss.
One time I got a tie. You didn't give me a win. You didn't give me an L. You just said nothing.
But here the issue is the assists were 4 flat tue, so I'm not even going to defend Riv here.
Yeah, so Riv is trying to end with a tie.
No, but I'll say this also: LaVine has been passing the ball relatively well for his usual self. It's been a little bit more now.
Yeah. So those are our Boom Fantasy picks, and make sure you guys join us on playback. You guys can watch real time if our picks hit or not. And also March Madness tomorrow.
Sir.
Boom Fantasy has March Madness picks.
Oh, yeah.
And we can all agree with the line that I'm about to set out. But Brandon Miller over 20.5 points versus Texas A&M.
Brandon Miller's just been on a different level recently. He really has been. He's been one of the best players to watch in college basketball. Probably, in my opinion, the best player in college basketball. Alabama has been the best team in college basketball also. I'm expecting him to put on a show.
And I think it's Texas A&M Southern, if I believe. Mm-hmm. I think it's that.
It might be.
Yeah, it's not Texas A&M because they're
a high seed.
Yeah, they're better. It's Texas A&M CC. That's what it is. So yeah, 20.5 points. Brandon Miller. We know Brandon Miller. He's a dog.
He's a dog.
Savage.
He is a dog.
He's savage.
You want to go over? You want me to go?
No, go ahead.
Okay.
Keontae George. Why did you laugh?
Because you just always name random people. For me, I'm going to John Harris over 6 assists from Kansas. Kansas is looking to make a run. Jalen Wilson has been bugging. I was thinking about taking his points, but I decided to take the engine of the offense, the guy who sets everybody up, who creates for them. He's their point guard machine, the maestro. He's the guy that gets everybody going. So I'm going to take the John Harris assist over. Yeah, he's like fucking Rondo out there.
Now let's get into what everybody's on this show to watch and listen to. Aaron Rodgers, Pat McAfee, reaction. Now, he went on Pat McAfee. Pat McAfee announced yesterday that Aaron Rodgers is going to be on the show. And boy, Aaron Rodgers did not disappoint. We're watching it, and Aaron Rodgers, the first thing he says is, this is not a decision that I'm making right here. It's not a decision day kind of live stream. That's not why I'm on the show. I saw Dehls get very discouraged when Rodgers said, I went into the darkness 90% retiring, Dehls got discouraged. I was over here holding Dehls' hands and telling him, listen, man, Aaron Rodgers is going to be a Jet. Just please believe he will be a New York Jet. Then Aaron Rodgers just says, listen, I want to play for the Jets. I want to play for the New York Jets. And as a Jets fan right now, I feel so happy because history is repeating itself. In 2008, we got Brett Favre. And people love to label that time as a failure, but we were 8-3 with Brett Favre. We were a Super Bowl contender, and then Brett Favre got injured. Aaron Rodgers, 2023, now goes to the Jets. Let's just be very certain about this. Aaron Rodgers, as great as Brett Favre is as a quarterback, he's not Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is better, simply put. And I'm looking at these stats. 2020 and 2021, Aaron Rodgers combined those seasons, 26-6, 70% completion percentage, 8,400 yards, 85 touchdowns to 9 interceptions, 116.7 passer rating, 2-time MVP, 2 in a row. Now, I've seen a lot of narratives about Aaron Rodgers. Oh, he was washed in 2022. None of us at this table had expectations for Rodgers coming into the season because we knew the receiving core was horrible and Bakhtiari was unhealthy. We knew Rodgers wasn't going to have a glamorous statistical season this past season. The narrative that when he goes to things in his first years, he's not very good. This isn't his first year in the Hackett offense. He's familiar with Nathaniel Hackett's offense. But I look at Aaron Rodgers. I look at the quarterbacks in the AFC East. This past season, Allen threw 35 touchdowns. Tua, 25 touchdowns. In a down season, Aaron Rodgers threw 26 touchdowns and 12 picks. 91 passer rating. Even if we get Aaron Rodgers on the down season,
I am screaming.
Aaron Rodgers on the down season is Derek Carr. Aaron Rodgers on a down season is still a great quarterback. Aaron Rodgers on a down season, we're still a playoff team. But we get Aaron Rodgers MVP with our offense, Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson, Elijah Moore.
Thank you.
Alan Lazard, Tyler Conklin. Are you kidding me? That defense with Quinnen Williams, John Franklin Myers, Jermaine Johnson. We just re-signed Quincy. We got CJ, Sauce Gardner, DJ Reed, Jordan Whitehead. Come on, folks. This is not hard. Jets are Super Bowl contenders. Jets are Super Bowl contenders. And we're looking at the AFC East. If we just look at it from quarterbacks, we got 2 elite quarterbacks in Josh Allen and Aaron Rodgers. We got the mid-tier guys like Tua and Mac Jones in the next tier. And then our defense stacks up with anybody in the NFL. Listen, the Jets are going to make noise. Aaron Rodgers is the best quarterback in the AFC East. There's no doubt about it, no question.
You're doing it again.
And we're doing it again. And we're going to win the AFC East. There's no doubt about it. Aaron Rodgers, people are going to put some respect on his name. They're going to put some respect on his name. And you know what I love? I love the fact that Rodgers is coming in because guess what? There's still hope for that guy.
Oh, can't forget that.
Zach Wilson.
It always comes back to number 2.
Zach Wilson getting mentored by Aaron Rodgers. Oh, Zach's about to become a demon out of this. He's going to become a demon.
He's going to be like you after that rough start from Boom Fantasy.
Yeah, so we're going to
look at your walk, huh?
So we're going to get Aaron Rodgers. Then when Aaron Rodgers done, look, we got another franchise quarterback brewing in the making. That's Zach Wilson.
Right.
That's Zach Wilson. If this is Dragon Ball Z terms, he's in a hyperbolic time chamber right now. Zach Wilson is working. He's going to be learning. And the Jets.
He's been in there for like 4 years.
My goodness, Dehls. Aaron Rodgers is a New York Jet.
It's a good day.
He's a New York Jet.
It's a good day.
He's a New York Jet.
I can't believe it. I've needed this for my anxiety. How every time I get a notification, obviously got Schefter on. I put fucking Trey Wingo on. Like all the notifications. Every time I get a notification, my heart sinks because I think it's going to be Aaron Rodgers news. That's been my life really for these last 2-3 days. I thought it was going to get done yesterday. Then I thought it was going to get done Monday, and it never happened. And once I saw this news that he was going on the Pat McAfee show, I said, this has to be it. There's no way he could go on this show and give us this another runaround saying, oh, I still haven't made a decision or this and that. Thankfully, he went up there and made a decision, made it very clear. My intention is to come back, and he wants to play for the New York Jets. And, oh, my God, did that give me a good feeling. It sat inside of me, and I felt it, and it was all warm, and everything in the world, all the problems just went away. And it was an amazing feeling to have a franchise quarterback wanting to come play for the New York Jets. It was great. It was a great feeling. I don't know what they're laughing about, honestly.
It definitely fills you with joy.
It fills me with joy. I just felt like I was getting a big warm hug just wrapped around me because the feeling of going from last year, and listen, everyone goes and talks about, look at the Jets schedule. They played 7 backup quarterbacks. The Jets had a backup quarterback for 17 games.
Literally.
The Jets had Joe Flacco, Zach Wilson, Mike White, Chris Streveler for a half, back to Mike White, then Joe Flacco finished the season. The Jets for 17 games had a backup quarterback. My mic go off?
No, I didn't go off.
Okay. I didn't hear myself anymore.
I don't hear him either.
They had a backup quarterback.
Can you still can't hear him?
Here we go.
Is it still warm inside?
Very warm.
Yeah, that's fucking.
What did you do to him, Joel? Come on, bro.
Talk now.
Hello.
Bro,
We're good?
Bro, cut him off.
We're good?
Okay.
And listen,
You were peeking too much, so I was fixing
I got
it,
you.
Yeah.
It's not ridiculous to say that the Jets are the 3rd best team in the AFC. You could make an argument. It's not a popular argument, but 2nd best team in the AFC, given the fact that the Bengals just lost key pieces on the defensive side of the ball. The Buffalo Bills are fantastic. Josh Allen's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Their defense, I know, down the stretch last year gave up more than we were expecting. I still think they're a strong unit. Just brought back Jordan Poyer as well. But we gave them hell last year. Josh Allen's worst games were against the New York Jets. And the New York Jets, with Zach Wilson, beat the Buffalo Bills last season. And I got to give credit to Miami. That offense is dangerous. That defense picking up Jalen Ramsey and Vic Fangio, they're going to be a dog too. This AFC East is shaping up to be like the AFC West. You're going to have multiple Super Bowl contenders, multiple teams that think they could go on deep playoff wins, multiple franchise quarterbacks with some great head coaches. So I'm excited for the Jets. Jets fans needed this. We deserve this. Aaron Rodgers is coming. Maybe it's for 1 season. Maybe it's for 2 seasons. Regardless, this was the only plan for the New York Jets to get Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers didn't happen.
You want to go?
Go ahead, man. You can go ahead.
That was funny. It's warm inside. that was hilarious, Dehls. I'm happy for both of you, man. I don't get happy for you guys much. I like to see all you fail. But for this moment, I am definitely happy because you guys have seen long droughts of misery. Getting Aaron Rodgers is huge. I'm also of the norm that I think getting Aaron Rodgers makes you guys one of the best teams in the AFC. If not a top 3, you're at least top of the wild card. You may not, even if you don't win the division, I can see you being the top wild card team. It's you guys, it's the Bills, it's Miami. Like you said, that's going to be a tough division. You're bringing in Aaron Rodgers, who I've been pretty adamant. He's the top 7 quarterback in the NFL. He's still one of the best. You bring him into this offense, you get Breece Hall back, you get Garrett Wilson back, you get all these guys defensively, you still keep everybody. That is huge. You're basically plugging in Aaron Rodgers to a team that won, 7, 8 games with pretty much 3rd stringers all year. They're all 3rd stringers. None of them are 2nd stringers. They're not good. So looking at it now, like from the landscape of the AFC, I mean, you have the 2nd best quarterback in the division. Arguably could be made the 1st. I still think he's the 2nd best. Josh Allen's still the best in that division. But you can make a strong push for the number 1 seed. Like you said, you gave the Buffalo Bills fits. You split 1-1. That defense creates problems for Josh Allen. This is a team that definitely can contend for a Super Bowl. But now you have to look at Aaron Rodgers and see what can he bring next year. We all believe he still has that level to him. You have to hope you can keep bulking up that offensive line, keep protecting him, make those next jumps for those superstars. And if they can do that, I don't see the problem for the Jets, but I do think this is a great move for you guys. This definitely puts you guys in comfortable position for those young guys to be successful, and you're definitely one of the best teams in the AFC.
First off, to the boys, God willing, this goes through, right? He wants to play for the New York Jets, but there still are steps that have to get put into place for that to finally be a reality. He said it. He wants to play for the New York Jets, but as of right now, he is still under contract with the Packers, which means there needs to be a deal put in place. And right now, that seems to be at the spot we're at this current Aaron Rodgers state of affairs. But this is a great day for Jets fans all over the world, honestly. And to talk to my 2 Jets fans over here, you guys immediately get the best quarterback you've ever had in your franchise and arguably the best player you've ever had in your franchise.
I don't think it's arguable.
Darrelle Revis, I still put respect on his name as a Jet legend, but I understand where you're coming from. Aaron Rodgers at the quarterback position, the most difficult position to play in the National Football League. Of course, that deserves praise. 4-time MVP, 2-time back-to-back. Aaron Rodgers' resume speaks for itself. I don't disagree overly that you guys definitely are a playoff team now. To be Super Bowl contenders, I need to see how this offensive line continues to fill out. I still am a believer in Mekhi Becton. I understand that injuries have destroyed his career so far, but I've seen the work that he's been putting in, at least some of the pictures that he's put up on social media. He looks like he is taking this the most serious so far. He's lost a ton of weight. He looks to be in amazing shape. Dwayne Brown, the injury concerns me as well. AVT, he did get hurt last season, but AVT, you understand when he's on the field, he's a savage. Lincoln Tomlinson, that's another great piece. What's going to happen with Connor McGovern, who's a free agent? So that's the only concern. But when it comes to weapons, Joel, you already said it perfectly. Garrett Wilson officially gets that superstar leap, that superstar help that he needs to ascend himself into becoming a true solidified superstar, which he already showed a piece of that his rookie season. Now you get Aaron Rodgers. Now we see an elevation from Garrett Wilson, who I've been adamant on that if you get him a real quarterback, he will show his true potential. That's Elijah Moore. He gets a boost from me 100%. Breece Hall, being the dual threat that he is, both receiving and rushing, that is amazing for him because it's like Rodgers goes from Aaron Jones to Aaron Jones Jr. in Breece Hall. Breece Hall is just that amazing of a rusher. Pat McAfee said it himself, as we are all under similar belief. If Breece Hall stays healthy, we're looking at the real offensive rookie of the year. So the Jets had 2 offensive rookie of the years in their offense. And now you add Aaron Rodgers to the mix. I don't have to talk about how elite that defense was, a top 5 unit in the National Football League. And I was very adamant. You get a quarterback into this situation, things change because this is one of those teams. I look at the New York Jets that was truly a quarterback away. And you didn't just get no regular quarterback. You didn't get Derek Carr, which respect to him. He's a good quarterback in his own right. No, you got one of the cream of the crop, one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever put on a uniform, Aaron Rodgers. The expectations are going to be high. There's no doubt you get Aaron Rodgers, it's Super Bowl or bust at this point. And I'm sure Jets fans are happy to hear that because what they're happy with, Joel last year, all he wanted was to be in the hunt. That's all he wanted. Now this year, just get me to the playoffs. But now you have Rodgers. Now you start to get a little bit greedy and understandably so. Yep. I've been that fan. I understand how that is to get that piece and say, hey, the playoffs aren't good enough for me. I want the championship. That's how you should think when you're really a playoff contender. But this is a great moment for Jets fans. I am interested to see how they do fill out the rest of this offensive line. I am interested to see what the compensation is that the Jets are going to have to give up to the Green Bay Packers. But this is a great day for Jets fans. And the Packers, to talk about them very briefly, Jordan Love finally gets this opportunity to show himself as the QB1. It's going into year 4 where this is the year to solidify himself as, hey, the Green Bay Packers did not make a mistake drafting me in the first round when the Packers desperately needed wide receiver help. No, they drafted me because they trusted me to succeed Aaron Rodgers and be the great next quarterback of this franchise. But it's big shoes to fill. You went from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers. That was huge shoes to fill. And Aaron Rodgers exceeded everyone's expectations. And now you're next in line, Jordan Love. And yes, the help you could have could be a little bit better. I'm a huge Christian Watson fan. Aaron Jones, I am a fan of as well. I think he's one of the more underrated running backs in this league. Offensive line's not that great or has been injured really. But Jordan Love now has this opportunity that he needs to take maximum opportunity of. No doubt about it. And I'm looking forward to it. I believe in Jordan Love to succeed, but not immediately. I think that it's going to take a couple of years because there are still holes in this offense that need to be addressed. There's still a lack of wide receiver depth. They did just lose Allen Lazard, and I do love Christian Watson as the talent, no doubt, but they do need help in that right as well. But this is an exciting day in sports.
I love Love. That's one thing for sure. I love Jordan Love, and I can't wait for him to succeed because he will succeed. I think it will come this season. I think the Packers will draft receivers.
I think so.
They have Watson. They have Jones and Dillon. I think that offense will complement Jordan Love, and it will be very quarterback friendly. Now, this is the thing I want to say. When talking about Aaron Rodgers' down season, I don't know why when it comes to football, people throw away context most of the time. Aaron Rodgers' down season is 26 touchdowns and 12 interceptions. I saw Will Swanky tweet, Aaron Rodgers had no 300-yard passing games.
Come on, he's going to be 40 years old. That's also what he said.
Listen.
That's a fact.
How many times have we seen quarterbacks go into their 40s that are all-time greats and they have success?
Right.
Brett Favre went to the Jets and the Vikings. With the Jets, he had success, but he got hurt. With the Vikings, they went to the NFC Championship. Tom Brady, the Bucks, they win it all. It's happened before. And Aaron Rodgers is something, I mean, there's not a lot of all-time greats.
Drew Brees, he was
with the same team.
He was all right.
He was.
No, I know, but I'm still playing into your 40s.
In terms of just winning, it's just Brady.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but Aaron Rodgers, he's that type of guy. He's that type of level guy.
I agree with you.
Now listen, let's talk about the context. He lost Devontae Adams.
Big.
And I know that you guys love to rag on him, but I think he's a good guy, good receiver. MVS.
Oh,
The Packers also lost MVS, which I thought,
do this.
Aaron Rodgers had a very good connection with MVS. No doubt, he did.
I don't think that would change the
Aaron
season,
Rodgers
though.
nursed a thumb injury last year. All of last season, we have to keep that into account, which limited his snaps under center. He was doing most of his stuff under shotgun, and that is opposite of what Matt LaFleur's offense wants to be. The receivers last year were Lazard, Watson when he was healthy, Cobb, and Romeo Dubs.
And Watson was dropping some passes too.
Early in the season, no doubt, but he came into himself.
Yeah, this receiving core isn't anything.
Nope.
And then the offensive line, Bakhtiari played 11 games. Elton Jenkins played through injury, and he went from guard to tackle to guard. He was all over the place. And they had the 15th ranked rushing attack. And on top of that, the defense was good, but Joe Barry didn't maximize the personnel a lot of the time. And they still finished 8-9. With all those problems, they still finished 8-9. And one of the narratives I hate about Aaron Rodgers is the playoff success thing. Because I hate when people just make quarterback wins a quarterback stat and playoff wins a quarterback stat. I hate it because Jimmy Garoppolo wins a lot in the playoffs and he's an average quarterback to below average quarterback. Aaron Rodgers in the playoffs has a 100.1 passer rating, 45 touchdowns to 13 interceptions. He's 11th in playoff wins. He's 3rd in playoff touchdowns. He's 5th in playoff passer rating. This guy is a great playoff performer, and from 2011 to 2018, the Packers never had a top 10 defense with the Packers. Aaron Rodgers has not had the help to go on that type of run, and we've seen it repeatedly with the Packers, and the fact that the Jets are going all in to try to make it happen, and I hope Cobb comes. I hope Lewis comes, because it's going to make Rodgers more comfortable in the locker room, and ultimately, Rodgers knows he has 2 years at most. He wants to win, and he wants to win with his guys. And I appreciate that. And I hope he wins with his guys, because that means the Jets get one. And I don't know how many years. I used to work at Target, and a 70-year-old man came to buy something in the cash register, and we were Jets fans. We were talking, we were bonding. And he said, yeah, I witnessed that Super Bowl. And I was like, God damn, you're old. But I was like, hopefully in our life, hopefully before,
course.
you're too
70.
old.
Of course.
Yeah.
No,
You
70
win
is
too.
nuts.
Hopefully before you turn 80, we win one. So I think he's probably at the 76, 77 mark. So it could be now. But man, I'm happy that you just got Aaron Rodgers. I think this is going to be big time for us. And I can't wait to cop me an Aaron Rodgers jersey.
I can't wait.
I can't wait to go to the 12.
I think
Namath
said
said
to me 12.
Yeah,
But
Namath
Rodgers
said
also
that's
tough.
I feel like Rodgers also respects the history
That's
of the
what-
game.
I agree
so
with that.
he could change to a different number. It's also important to remember that this has been widely reported on Jets beat reporters, but this is just the start of free agency for the Jets. They said once Aaron Rodgers officially, we get the word, that is just going to be the beginning for the moves the Jets are going to make. Obviously, Alan Lazard signed yesterday. I don't think it's even been finalized yet, but 4 years, $44 million, 22 guaranteed. I know people were going crazy over it.
Yeah.
Alan Lazard's a wide receiver 3. I think he's one of the better wide receiver 3s in the NFL. I know last offseason, Joel and I had a bet under 1,000 yards. I don't think Alan Lazard is ever going to be a top 25 receiver in the league, top 20 guy who's going to put up crazy numbers. But as your wide receiver 3 who's played in Hackett's system, who knows the system, is a great blocker, a red zone threat, which Jets have been missing, I think he's the perfect piece. And for $11 million, I went and said and looked up who's getting paid that. It's Curtis Samuel and Michael Gallup and Jacoby Myers just got around that contract. Like $11 million, I'm talking guaranteed money per season, because that's all that really matters. That's pretty fair. I mean, for a guy like Alan Lazard, who's going to come in and you already have Garrett Wilson, Elijah Moore, who you aren't paying, so you could go and I guess maybe spend a little more, even if you think that, for $11 million. And then who knows what else comes in. I think Odell is a long shot. His asking price right now is $20 million. I don't think he's going to get that regardless. But even on a one-year prove-it deal, I think the Jets have other holes, especially on the offensive line, they should address first. And if Rodgers really wants Randall Cobb and Mercedes Lewis on that 1-year minimum deals for $1 million, like nobody's going to bat an eye at that. It's not like we're going to get into this bidding war over Randall Cobb. He's going to come play for the Jets if that's really what it takes. He'll be a wide receiver 5. Now, if somehow Randall Cobb takes snaps away from Elijah Moore, we could be having a different conversation, right? But I think for that list of demands, which came out, Rodgers said is bullshit anyway. Even if it was true, I don't think it was ever going to be demands. Rather, these are guys I've played with who know the game, who are veterans I would feel more comfortable about. And outside of Adam Lazard, and like I said, Odell's a long shot, these guys aren't going to be expensive.
And I wouldn't be shocked if Lazard gets more snaps than Elijah Moore.
He could.
It could happen. Elijah Moore, I like him.
Cobb.
but
I know. Yeah.
I know,
Getting
but
more snaps. That'd
I'm
be
just talking about
disgrace.
to Lazard. Elijah Moore, as much as I love his talent, he has shown tendencies of being a diva and being somebody that just overly complains.
But are you going to be a diva when Aaron Rodgers is actually getting you the ball in the spots you
Doubt
want
it.
the ball in? No.
Seriously, doubt
Well,
it.
He's going to
depends.
shut up. He's going to do his job.
Well, I'll
He
say,
might not be a diva
I'll
now.
say this. I think Elijah Moore is a great player, no doubt. But he has to start blocking. He has to start blocking. That's one.
It's smaller.
Last year, one of the reasons why his snap counts got limited was because Denzel Mills was out there blocking his ass off, and Elijah Moore was letting people get by him. So in this system, Hackett's system, where they're going to run the ball, Elijah Moore has to block. And if he doesn't block, Alan Lazard will be that wide receiver. He'll be the opposite receiver.
I mean, you'll run 3 wide receiver sets. It'll happen naturally.
I think that we're going to run a lot of 12 personnel. I do. With Tyler Conklin and CJ Uzama, I think that we have the personnel to run the ball and do a lot of play action stuff.
I know what you're saying. No
I
doubt.
think that Elijah Moore, all I'm saying is that he needs to block. And Alan Lazard, one thing about him, he's going to block his ass off. And Aaron Rodgers has an ultimate connection with him already. So just that familiarity, just him being on the field more, he could have a better season. I think. I wouldn't be shocked. I think Alan Lazard is a little bit underrated in my opinion.
Okay, that's a
He's
fair
the
statement to
Wizard
me.
King.
That's Sammy Watkins.
Yeah, it is Sammy Watkins.
Nah, no more. Sammy Watkins did nothing last year with the Packers. Alan Lazard took that. He took that.
Lazard was okay.
Lazard,
He wasn't even the best receiver on his team.
15 games, almost 800 yards.
Looks
If he played all 17 games, he probably would have had 900 plus.
How many would Christian Watson have had?
Great question.
I like Christian Watson.
I'm just saying. You said an elite connection. That's strong. He has a solid connection with him, no doubt.
I think it's an elite connection.
I know we're getting semantics. Let's not do this.
I know that they feel like they have a great connection. That's all I'm saying. I know that Aaron Rodgers, when he was talking to the Jets, he said, "Listen, I love throwing the ball to this guy, so go get him, please."
Okay. All right, listen. Whatever Rodgers wants, hey, you cater to. You said it perfectly. Odell's the long shot here, but if it's going to be minor things that are going to make him happy, that are going to get him into the building, that want him in the building, hey.
And listen, I know Dehls is skeptical now, but once the season rolls around and he starts seeing the big time plays Lazard
I'm
makes,
not skeptical.
He was in.
Dehls is going to say,
I was skeptical of Lazard getting 1,000 yards last season, being this wide receiver.
Dehls is going to say, "Yo, Lazard, he's going to be like your
No,
Quincy Enunwa."
Even when I watched him last season,
Legend.
he was still impressive just watching him, because obviously I was rooting against him last year. I didn't want him to get 1,000 yards, but I feel like every
He
time
can
I watch a
catch
Packers
contested
game, exactly,
passes.
he's a big body. He could catch balls, contested balls, red zone threat, like we mentioned, great blocker. So it's something the Jets have been missing.
Yeah.
We talk about getting a receiving core that could do things differently. You have a guy that the other receivers don't do at an elite level.
Now, I think this is understood, but I just want to make it clear for all of us that the upside of this Aaron Rodgers thing, I mean, with Derek Carr, if he plays at his best and everything goes right, he's like the 9th best quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers, if everything goes right, could be the best quarterback in the NFL statistically this year.
I'm done.
So Mahomes,
He could be better. He could be
boy's
better than
just
No,
Mahomes.
Mahomes is number one.
but that's
You
what I'm
just
saying. All right,
said
so that's
that.
it. All right,
You just
all right,
said the
that's-
best.
Hey guys, let's give him
I
another
said
chance.
I said statistical.
Recut it.
I said
Recut it.
statistical. I said statistical. Are we not going to act like 2019 and 2020 he was not the best?
That's a fact.
Was he the best, or he's just statistically the best?
I would say in 2020 he's definitely the best.
I know this is going to sound kind of stupid to say, but I want to see Aaron Rodgers a little bit more careless with the ball this season. And I mean that in the sense of I want him to trust himself, not worry about throwing these interceptions, which I feel like I've seen. You mentioned the playoff numbers. No doubt. On face value, they're amazing. But sometimes I don't want Rodgers to be as protective, as safe with the football. I want you to be confident because he obviously has the arm talent, one of the best arm talents the game's ever seen. I want him to trust himself and let the ball go, not worry about throwing interceptions. Interceptions to me are a stat that I don't even think about too often, really, because if you throw a lot of interceptions, but you continue to be one of the elite quarterbacks in the NFL, you win games, you get your team far in the playoffs, it means nothing to me because it's showing to me, one, you're confident in yourself. Two, you believe that you can make any throw on the football field, which goes hand in hand with confidence. And three, you have an arm that not many do. So ultimately, you're going to let the ball go and not think too much of it. So really, I want to see that because you have some solid weapons. Garrett Wilson, we've spoken ad nauseum about how special and how amazing his potential is and already how much he's shown us already. But I think he needs to understand with this group of guys, it's going to take trusting them as well to be in the spots that he's anticipating them to be in. So I want to see him be a little bit more reckless, for lack of a better term, really.
we saw Aaron Rodgers turn Robert Tonyan into a Pro Bowler, basically. Conklin.
Conklin? Bro loves Conklin.
Conklin might have. Conklin's good.
No, he's solid.
No, he's good.
solid for
Conklin
sure.
is good. I like Tyler Conklin. I understand your perspective.
Mm-hmm.
I'll only push back that there's charts that show Aaron Rodgers is a very aggressive quarterback while still being efficient. So I know I know it's popular to say the interception numbers are low because he's not aggressive with
Usually
the ball.
that's a great thing. Like years past, when we look at Rodgers, and I'm sorry to cut you off, King, you see the lower interception, the 4 interception season that he's had, that he was the MVP.
Yeah.
Of course, on face value, that's incredible. But really, I don't look at that and really put too much emphasis on it because I understand how great he is. And that game against San Fran sticks out to me where I feel like he didn't trust his guys. After, I believe it was Mercedes Lewis, if I'm getting the name wrong, I apologize, fumbled the football, it seemed like he didn't trust anyone that wasn't Aaron Jones, that wasn't Devontae Adams. And so if that wasn't there, then he kind of held on to the ball or threw it away.
All I'm saying is that the interception numbers being low is not equaling to him being a safe quarterback.
I know what you mean.
He is a very aggressive quarterback. The interception numbers just happen to be low because he's the most accurate quarterback that we've almost seen ever. But whatever. Even at his best, it's 1 Mahomes, 2 Rodgers. I mean, he could have that type of season, and with the Jets roster, that could take us very far. And we could win a Lombardi because of that.
The Grizzlies
no doubt.
suspended 8 games.
8 games now.
Okay.
Sounds good. So on to Mojo Investments of the week. Now, last week, we invested into Jordan Love. And we like to do these Mojo Investments of the week because it allows you guys to build your portfolio with us because all of us, we're investing into these players as well. So you guys build your portfolios with us. Last week, it was Jordan Love, and he's up 32% in the last week.
Been unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually making me emotional.
And I think once, I know we were talking because this announced his price didn't move much, but I think once Rodgers officially gets traded and he's off the team, you could see his price go up even more. So it's not too late to get in on Jordan Love.
And RJ Fisher, who's a fan of the show, continuously tweets at us, and he shows us how much his Jordan Love stock goes up. I think he's up $400 now.
Juju to the
on
Pats.
Jordan Love.
Really?
Juju, that's a good sign.
Interesting.
That's nice.
He's better than Jacoby Myers.
He isn't.
Yes, he is.
Same type of guy.
Jacoby at his best is Juju at his medium. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know.
But listen, Ojo, Jordan Love, 32%. Now, investment of the week. Who are we investing into this week that deserves some recognition? Now, we know the football season's over, so players are not going to really move up like that. But Mojo has NBA now. And I want to tell you guys that you guys can download Mojo everywhere, but only deposit in New Jersey. You get a $100 bonus when you use code PICKASIDE100. But investment of the week, we all agreed on this player.
Absolutely.
It's
all in.
Jalen Williams, OKC Thunder.
He's got the rookie of the year locked. I saw you tweet it. I was curious.
I wonder what those odds are looking like.
I didn't say lock. I said he's my rookie of the year,
it.
and I don't give a fuck about what nobody else thinks.
And I'm not trying to knock you because what Jalen Williams has done in the last month has been special. The efficiency has been stupid.
No, he's
a great player.
He's been a beast, and they're winning because of him.
I let you guys know this in the group chat. I don't know if you saw. You might have not been awake at the time, but
What,
I'm
this
all
morning?
in. I'm a Jalen Williams stan. It's
right.
official. All right, that's my
Talk
guy.
about this morning?
Well, yeah.
I was fucking.
Yeah, you were
Paolo
out.
is still minus 7,000 to win.
Oh,
Paolo's gonna win it.
Paolo's gonna win.
Jalen Williams has just been unbelievably great.
Since the new year, Jalen's been pretty good.
So,
This reminds me of LaMelo's rookie of the year when Anthony Edwards kicked up later in the season.
Yeah.
It reminds me a lot about that.
The one thing about LaMelo's rookie of the year, though, is that LaMelo did miss time. So there was a point in time where we felt that Anthony Edwards, because of how well he was playing and the lack of games that LaMelo had played towards the end of the season, that it would be Edwards.
Yeah, Bankero could have it.
I think it is just important to note that what Jalen Williams is doing at his best this year is what Paolo's is doing kind of inefficiently.
Yeah, correct.
When he's been kind of on his down turn of the season.
Thunder winning more.
And what's Jalen, the third option on the Thunder?
Jalen also plays defense.
Yeah,
Now
Paolo,
bro, he's got some active hands.
Paolo post All-Star break is averaging 21, 6, and 4. Jalen Williams post All-Star is averaging 21, 5, and 5.
And that's sharing the ball with SJ, who gets the ball all day.
Oh, that's true.
All day.
Magic got some guys like Franz Wagner, no doubt.
But SGA
got some guys. What do you mean, Franz? What do you mean, Franz is good?
No, we were
Markel Fultz is turning up.
No,
too.
it's just we were like SGA. Come on.
In March, Jalen Williams, 23 points per game, 6 rebounds, 5.2 assists, 61% from the field, 56% from 3, and 83% from the line.
Damn.
That is dumb.
That is dumb. Per day,
while playing defense at a high
Not
level.
for real, bro. He is definitely
Baby Shea.
on go the entire game. Baby who?
Baby Shea.
Shea. Okay, I don't hate that.
He models his game after him. That's what he said.
Yeah, they go shopping together. They're
That's
like
tough.
best friends. Yeah.
Oh, so he gets his
That's like his
drip from
protege.
SGA.
Yeah.
Tough. That's
Anybody
hard.
who gets their drip from SGA is
I'll tell
winning.
you what, OKC is going to be tough next season if
yeah.
Chet is Chet. If Chet is Chet and they get another really good pick, which obviously Thunder is still in contention for the play-in, so we'll see what happens there. But, bro, they get another
picks.
really solid lottery draft pick with Chet.
A lot of them are protected, though.
I mean, listen.
This year.
We can't sleep on Josh Giddey.
Future picks, though. They're still loaded
No,
up.
you cannot. Yeah. Josh Giddey has been phenomenal in playmaking and setting up the offense.
I wonder what they're going to do with Dortz.
Because Loki, he's a solid ball player too.
I think off the bench he's phenomenal.
They just have so many young guys that need minutes to give.
Oh, them young guys are gone.
Now Jalen Williams on Mojo's up 10% in the past week from $123 to $133. And just to let you guys know, you guys don't have to put the full 123, 133 into Mojo. You can put $20 into Jalen Williams and just see the money grow. You don't have to buy the entire share. Other candidates that I was considering for investment of the week, James Wiseman. He's up 3%.
I like that.
The stats look good in Detroit, but they're still a team that struggles to win.
They have 19 wins, something like that.
And David Roddy up 16% for the past week. John Morant, you just said, suspended 8 games. David Roddy's going to have a solid rotation now. He's going to be solid in rotation, and he's been looking good, man. I like David Roddy. I'm not too familiar with his game, but I know, Riv, you being a college guy, tell me about David Roddy. What does he do well? What does he do poorly?
What does he do well? What does he do poorly? He's like in Memphis. He's supposed to be like this stretch. He's a big body. He's physical. He kind of plays a little bit like Xavier Tillman to a degree. A little better handles. He can move well. He can make layups. A little mid range jumper. He's solid. He's nothing like too crazy, but he's definitely solid. He's 6'6". He's small. He's more for that small ball 5 type of position. But he's solid in college.
Is he better than Jaden Hardy?
They're different. Jaden Hardy is probably like a prolific scorer. David Roddy's like more of
just had this conversation about who I should pick.
David Roddy's like a jack of all trades type of player.
Okay, so in saying that,
can I give my investment of the week also? I have 2. One I'll throw for NFL, NFL, but first we'll stay on NBA. Mine's gonna be Jalen Suggs. Jalen Suggs at $54.57. He's gone up 5% this past week. Now it's understood Jalen Suggs has been just the epitome of inconsistent, but in the month of March, shooting 45% from the field, 37% from 3, which is what he's really struggled with. Free throw could be a little bit better, 77%, but what really stands out to me is that he's averaging two steals a game, essentially, on 12 points per game as well. He's been great defensively. We've known that. But if he can just continue to be consistent on the offensive side, then we start to see or lean into the potential that was believed in him at draft day. And at $54, essentially, which is significantly less than a lot of these players that we see. And for a guy who's the 4th overall pick, this is a guy that I'm keeping my eye out for.
Yeah,
and for the NFL, Sam Darnold, $20 going to San Francisco. There was literally no better situation for him to go to with multiple factors taken into account. Brock Purdy, you're not sure what's going to happen. Of course, it's saying 3 months until he's throwing the football again. Of course, Trey Lance, yes, he is there. Who's the number 3 overall selection, but he was already going to be in a QB competition with Brock Purdy. Now Sam Darnold comes in, and Sam Darnold, we've seen flashes from time to time. For more often than not, we think that Sam Darnold's not really like that. Understandably so. He's not been really good at by any means consistently. But now you go to San Fran, where Kyle Shanahan legitimately makes every single quarterback he touches good. And so now you come into this offseason where he costs $20. Just monitor that price. $20 for Sam Darnold if he comes and starts into this offense. It'll be interesting to see and something to look out for as well.
All right. Did you want to go or
you could go?
Oh, okay, cool.
I just have an NFL.
I just want to let you know, Drew, Max Christie on Mojo's share price is $10.30.
That's another one to look out for, man. I'm glad people in the comments, people on Twitter were letting me know that people are sleeping on.
There was a lot of Lakers fans. No, not knocking.
I'm not. No, because the Lakers fans, they watch, they tune in.
You do.
They know what's up with Max Christie. At face value, the numbers really aren't it. But when he's on the court, can splash a 3 when you need him to, and the defense is there.
Copy. For me, I got 2. One is like sort of a little bit of a wild card. Patrick Baldwin Jr. Especially with the news that Andrew Wiggins might not be back for the season. And Jonathan Kuminga is out right now. He had the same injury as KD. They haven't really defined how long he'll be out for. So he's been day to day. He was out the last 2 games. Patrick, with those 2 guys being out, being primarily wing guys, this leaves the room for Patrick Baldwin Jr. to come into the lineup. Now, he's very trigger happy when he gets in. He's shooting that shit.
That's fine.
No, he's 6'11". Nobody's blocking him. So whatever. Like, and he makes them. Like, he can shoot. He can. Sometimes he doesn't make. But this is somebody who maybe you can look at, invest in. He can be a little small value. He can up his price, especially with Wiggins possibly not coming back for the year, crying. And
that
then
makes me sad.
it hurts me physically and mentally. Terrible. Like, I can't move right now. And my NFL one, Darnell Mooney, man. I think Darnell Mooney is definitely going to go, especially with DJ Moore coming into the fold and the impact that Justin Fields is going to have and his improvements next year. Darnell Mooney is not this high-flying, high-level. He's not a Smitty. He's not a Jalen Waddle. But statistically, he can have a really, really good number 2 season, especially right behind DJ Moore. And if Justin Fields makes the improvements that we all think he'll make this offseason, Darnell Mooney is somebody you should definitely lock into.
That's perfect because my investment of the week is Justin Fields.
Hey.
We're going to talk about him more later, but he's $31 right now. He's around guys like Geno, Mac Jones, Daniel Jones at 36, so around that range. And if Justin Fields, who just got DJ Moore, we see year after year, once you get that number 1 receiver, the improvement quarterbacks take. It wouldn't surprise me a few months from now when we're talking MVP, comeback player of the year, and we have those dark horses. Justin Fields is going to be a name that gets brought up a lot for dark horse MVP.
It's a bold take, Dehls. That's a bold take.
Dark horse.
I believe you.
You know what I mean?
That's a
I
bold
trust
take.
you.
I'm saying, not saying he's going to win it, but
He
I
might.
think that's going to be a lot of people's picks.
I'm cautiously optimistic about Fields.
Not crazy.
He's got some things to work on for sure.
I don't know. Last year I said the same thing about Tua. Yo, are you stupid? Are you dumb? Like, be serious. No, but that's
he
what he
folded
gets.
in December.
Like we all
got hurt.
predicted.
I mean, we
I'll
predicted
be
he
honest,
was
we
going to fold
did.
in December.
Predicted that.
And we predicted it.
And then he
man.
did
You
fold in
predicted
Remember the
that he
Chargers
wasn't
game?
starting level quarterback. That shit hurts me. More
Now-
than any other game by far. That's the one that stinks. That should have done that to them.
Now,
and they did.
Riv, on Mojo, they have liquid props too, and I'm going with Keontae George to have over
Keontae
47
George
points in the
He's
2020.
not a Keontae George guy.
Bro,
He
you
found
saw-
him out. He probably found
Bro,
out about it
and
like
I-
3 days ago.
Why
Don't
are
do him
you-
like
why are
that.
you
Don't do him like
doing
that.
that?
Exactly. I'm
No,
with you.
because this is what he does.
hell's wrong with you?
No, Drew, don't let him fall. Don't let. No,
No,
this is
no,
what he
no.
does. This is what he
Because you would
does.
have did that shit to me, I would have been
No,
tight.
because he does it all the time. He
does do it all
tells
the
me
time.
random names, and then he'd be like, "Bro, I knew about him," and then he's gonna tell me, "Watch, in 2 months he's gonna be like, I'll put you on the Keontae George."
Tough.
Watch.
Hey, I respect that.
It's exactly
respect
what
that.
he's
Nah,
gonna do.
listen,
I'm telling you.
Riv
That's
has
too
a
many times.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
shit's killing.
that's what- that's what
I told you about
exactly-
Anthony Black,
Yeah,
bro.
that's exactly
I
what
told
he's
you
gonna
about
do,
it, bro.
Riv has a tendency to
Look, okay.
because he knows more college basketball than me, he keeps up with it more. He has a tendency to think that all the players he finds, and I cannot find any for myself. But little does he know, during the draft when we were scouting our guys, I know they didn't play college basketball because that's what Riv is in
Is he gonna
tune
say
with.
Giddy?
But I told him about Alperen Şengün.
Yeah.
I told him about Josh Giddey, and he
Facts.
was doubtful. He was very
Who's
doubtful.
the one that was doubtful on LaMelo? Keep it a stack.
It was Riv.
It was me.
Oh,
I said it's shooting.
why are you sleeping?
No, I said I don't know if his shooting would translate. It was dog shit over there.
It was, but now it's
Yeah.
amazing.
And then he keeps bringing up the Giddy shit because I don't think he'll be
Yeah.
a star.
Yeah.
That's really
He
the
is a
only
star,
the
though.
only one I really, really genuinely hated on was Sengun. That's the only one
Nah,
I
you
give
hate
him.
on Giddey too.
You
No,
did
I didn't hate on
You
Giddy.
did hate on
I said
Giddey.
he'll be.
I was
There's literally-
there.
There's
I
literally,
literally said-
bro.
you
There's
know
literally a YouTube video of saying Riv apologizes to Josh Giddey.
Yep. You have to
That's
wear the
because
Josh Giddey.
because y'all thought I
jersey.
was saying some disrespectful shit. I just said he'll be a good starter. I didn't think he'd be a star.
He's
That-
backtracking.
man, all I'm saying is that Anthony Black for sure. That's mine.
There
That's
we go.
my
Look,
guy.
look.
He's
That's
been
a
pushing
my
Anthony
guy.
Black for like a year.
That's
He's
a
hilarious.
Yeah, I've been talking about him for like a year and a half. I'll just
I
mention
hear
him
Anthony
randomly.
Black so
Yeah,
Anthony
it's
Black
insane to me.
And Brandon Miller's now my guy too.
Oh,
nah,
yeah. Pick the
nah.
number 2 pick in the draft.
Nah, that's how I'm feeling. Brother Billy
All
really
right.
is. He's so good.
Yeah.
I talked to you about him like 4 weeks ago.
Okay.
You know that I did. I
4
texted
weeks
you
ago,
about
yeah.
him.
Okay,
I
that was a
was
month
like,
ago.
are we sure that he's not better than Scoop?
You know, I did, but you do know I was one of the people that was tweeting with Raphael about Brandon Miller possibly being 2.
I never said you weren't first to it.
No, I'm just letting
I
you
just
know.
said that I finished the race as well.
All right, you know, if you want Brandon Miller, you can have Brandon Miller.
I was
You know?
saying this before the show. You know, Brandon Miller's a dog.
Yeah.
When my dad, who is a pretty,
Mhm.
he's active in watching and listening to sports, listening to the podcast all the time. When my dad's coming to me and
Yeah.
saying, "Yo, bro, have you seen what this guy Brandon Miller is doing?" That's when you know that someone actually is.
So you also a
not
Brandon Miller
looking.
guy?
I mean, everyone should be a Brandon Miller guy.
Oh,
Now,
I wouldn't say
this
I'm a
is-
Brandon Miller guy.
But you don't have to be a. We
That's why I'm like
everyone
a stan.
acknowledges that Brandon Miller's a savage. That's
Yeah,
it.
That's what I'm actually
Who's your
like.
guy in this draft?
Amon,
Scoop?
For a while, Amon is-
Jalen Hood.
Tre'Quavion Smith.
Yeah, that's one of my guys. Keontae George is one of my guys.
Come on,
I got a few.
Look at him.
What about
He's not
All-Star?
trying to get my guy.
All-Star's my guy too.
Okay.
But
He
guy, I was
needs to learn how to
just I was
shoot.
just asking you a question, Riv.
What's up?
Keontae George to score 47 points in the tournament
in total. Oh, easily. Oh, my
Bro,
God.
I saw Drew Timmy's is like 80 points.
Drew Timmy's.
You tell me that he's the best college basketball player there is.
I don't know what he does. His moves are very generic, but he's a bucket.
Is he gonna
to score 47? The only tricky part about
Baylor has to play like 4 games for that to happen.
47.
He can do that in 2 to 3 games.
He could.
But the problem is they can lose in round 2.
They do have Chris Murray on here.
That was something that was intriguing to me. The only thing is that his attempts are just.
What's Jalen Wilson on there? Because Baylor can lose in round 2. And the dance is so unpredictable. They could get bounced around.
Jalen Wilson's points is 75 for Kansas.
He's been his last 6-7 games, 20, 21, 22.
Who's Kansas facing in the first round?
Oh,
is it Howard?
It's not a good team. Because they're a high seed.
Because it says HOW. I don't know if it's Howard.
That's Howard.
Okay. They're projecting Wilson to score 23 in that game.
He can. He's been scoring 23s like last 7 games. He's a beast. Jack of all trades. I love him. I hope he comes to the Wars.
To end off this segment, and I want the comments to answer this question as well, along with you guys, because this will be up on TikTok. We're gonna get a lot of varying reactions from this.
All right.
Paolo Banchero, Jalen Williams, who has a better career?
Ooh.
Oh shit! You set us up.
In the comments, answer Paolo or Jalen Williams.
I got this very easily. As great as Jalen Williams has been over the past month, 2 months, absolutely. The answer is Paolo Banchero because the Magic understand that this is the foundational piece to change the organization. What they need to do is surround him with shooting and continue to put playmaking around him. More importantly, shooting. The Magic are one of the worst three-point shooting teams in the NBA. So Paolo is being double teamed and triple teamed almost every single possession, which is why he is so inefficient. But really, once you start to continue to get playmakers, to get shooters around Paolo, you will continue to see Paolo transcend and continue to ascend to being one of the best basketball players in the association.
You ever feel like you just want to make a take different just to be different?
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah, I feel like it's one of those moments. So I'm gonna go Jalen Williams. This is completely biased, so I don't care what nobody says. I just gravitate to his game more. I like his game more. I feel like Banchero. I love Banchero, so that's the crazy part. But J-Dubs for me, I'm just gonna pick him just because I want him to succeed more.
That's
cool.
Like Jalen Williams, I won't lie. I think that
Swaggier.
when it comes to OKC and Orlando, I trust OKC to build a competitive team much faster. I think they're much further in the process as well. Jalen Williams, he's probably going to get in the next couple of years more nationally televised games. People are going to see his game more. So he could become more recognized than Paolo. But I agree with you. I think Paolo is a foundational number one piece for organization, where Williams is the complement to SGA. It's all about opportunity. But I think Williams for the value, like you look on Mojo, Williams' share price is 133, Paolo's 217. So for the value, I like Williams a lot.
We're going by Mojo, of course.
I'll rock with the swaggy guy.
I like it.
I like Jalen Williams' game a lot, though. Yeah. He's crafty. He can shoot well.
Defend. So swaggy.
He's awesome.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Great
bro.
athletic.
Hair is cool.
Very cool.
How about you? Who's your pick?
Now, I was saying, I agree with you guys. I think Jalen right now is the more complete player, especially defensive side of the ball. But when you go number one overall and everything's going to be built around you, with the Thunder, everything's going to be built around SGA. Even how great Jalen Williams is, like you said, he does feel like the number two to a team that's going to be competing, obviously projecting him, to continue to progress his game. But Paolo going number one overall, it just feels like the Magic are going to be, Paolo's going to be the piece that's built around there.
Yeah, Jalen Williams definitely has played better, but we can't let a month or two of basketball just all of a sudden
Agreed.
propel one guy over the other. Paolo has been
coming
that guy.
From the Jalen Williams stan. I'm telling you.
As of 12 hours ago.
Now, we're going to get into our ad, talk about Athletic Greens because Athletic Greens has proudly sponsored this podcast, so we appreciate them. And it's very easy to drink. One small scoop of AG1 in your water, and you're good to go. It tastes very earthy.
Do yourself a favor, though. Don't put it in the water. Get yourself a nice protein shake, a little almond milk, put it in the blender. Do yourself right.
Definitely listen to Drew. He's been taking it religiously.
That's a fact.
He definitely, he looks like he's in way better shape than before he took AG1. He looks very muscular. I've seen him with the shirt off.
Skin looks a lot better.
That is an underrated part of it as well.
Yeah, skin looks a lot better, a lot cleaner. Hair looks a little bit more sexier.
Thank you.
It's the green. The green is putting you at, it turns you from a 9 to a 50. That's what the Athletic Green does.
If a comprehensive solution is what you need from your supplement routine, then Athletic Greens is giving you a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. Go to athleticgreens.com/pickaside. That's athleticgreens.com/pickaside. Check it out. The link is in our description below. Athletic Greens tastes amazing and it does wonders for your body. Drew is a testament of that. And before we go on to the next segment, we got to read these super chats.
Do it.
So first super chat, Caleb Belts. How crazy is the AFC right now?
Unbelievable.
AFC is full of dogs, man. It's really not fair.
The AFC is ridiculous. The AFC East is what everybody thought the AFC West was last year.
Yep.
The AFC East is going to be the best division in football. And guess what? The Jets are coming out on top. Aaron Rodgers #1. That's a fact. That's a fact.
Don't sleep on Miami.
We're going to go from worst to first.
Don't sleep on Miami.
Yeah.
Don't
We
do it.
need
Don't
Caleb
sleep on
Williams to go.
Buffalo.
We need
Of
Caleb
course.
Williams and
Don't
Drake
sleep
May.
on
to
No
go
one's
to the
sleeping
NFC.
on Buffalo.
We need that bad.
But don't
Yeah.
sleep on Miami.
Stop
Doesn't
sleeping on
it
Buffalo.
suck that we really finished last in the division?
It's
That
less
is-
than ideal.
It
It's
feels
bizarre.
like
You were
it
at the
feels
top
like
for a minute.
Patriots finished last, but it wasn't like
guys,
No,
We
literally,
had-
you
we had
pulled
a
the
chance.
New York Knicks. Yeah,
we won't talk about 0-6.
Reggie
New
Miller.
York
remember?
Knicks.
Reggie Miller.
Did the
New
same
York
shit
Knicks.
with Brett
Sure.
Favre.
Really?
Five-
You did?
I was
we were
there.
8-3.
I was at that game.
Or
with
eight-
the Dolphins.
How'd you finish?
8-8.
Wow.
I was at that game
Why,
with the
though?
Dolphins beat
You
you
got hurt.
guys
Yeah.
in Meadowlands at the time,
Yeah.
where Miami was going to the playoffs and they kicked the Patriots out and you guys.
But the AFC, just let's talk about teams that I think in the AFC are going to be great. I think we all can agree on.
Broncos.
The AFC East, the Dolphins, Bills, Jets, all looking like great teams, especially if the Jets get Aaron Rodgers. We look at the AFC West. Chiefs ain't going nowhere.
Nope.
The Broncos have made some good moves.
I
Very
agree.
The
good.
Chargers are still there because they have Justin Herbert
Raiders are cooked.
and a good roster. Let's go to the AFC North. The Bengals aren't going nowhere.
No.
The Browns, they've made some
Yes.
good moves
It's
in the
time to
offseason.
push that agenda.
And if Deshaun Watson is back to himself, that team is
Big
dangerous. You can never count out the Ravens with Lamar Jackson.
Who
If he
knows?
plays.
Who
Then the
knows if
AFC
Lamar's gonna be on
South.
that team?
Jacksonville
I was going to
Jaguars.
say, you're not going to mention the Steelers. I know John just took offense. He just said something.
With all
Kenny
the-
Pickett.
with all the
I mean, that-
respect
their
for the
quarterback's
Steelers.
Kenny
They'll win
Pickett.
8 games and we won't care.
Whoa, I'm not here for Kenny Pickett.
Right, 9. They're not going to go under 5.
Those days
are
behind.
9 games.
No, you'll be mid, and then we'll look at you
They
and be
beat
like,
you
"Oh,
in
they
the
were mid."
Yeah, I
playoffs.
was going to say, you
They
guys
didn't
finished
just
higher
beat
than
you.
them.
They
And y'all had a great year that year.
I said regular season.
Yeah, so the AFC, outside of the AFC South,
And then the Jaguars.
yeah.
Well, the Jaguars still are going to be
They're
one of
still
those.
solid.
teams.
outside of the AFC South, every division in the AFC has 2 to 3 good to great teams.
It's
in
a
that
shame
division.
a division winner has to make the playoffs.
You saw the Chargers trying to push that
Did see that.
if you're better than the whatever team that wins a division, but you're in the wild card, but you're significantly better, that you should be
Yeah.
higher.
It's like
seeded.
if you have like 3 or 4 more wins.
Yeah,
than
so
the
basically,
Chargers were the ones to push this.
Oh, yeah,
and I
but
saw
then
someone
divisions don't
saying that's
matter.
what happens when you're in the division with the Chiefs.
But then divisions don't matter.
I'm
And I
glad the
think
Chargers did.
that's
that,
what's
not us.
happening to the NBA. Like
The
the
divisions don't
NBA
matter.
divisions don't matter at all.
I mean, you get like a division banner, and it's like, oh.
but I do think if the NBA started to switch to a more division-oriented format, the regular season would be much more fun to watch.
Yeah, if there's more you would be going towards.
Yeah.
You know, if you could get home court advantage because you win your division.
I'm fine with the division, honestly.
Next
that's
super
cool.
chat, Santos Lopez Loyola, $2.
Dang.
W but L for changing the time.
we had to wait for Rodgers, man.
Santos, another super chat, Tua over Rodgers.
There
Dude
we
knows
go.
ball.
Sounding a lot like Drew right
Drew
there.
did. Drew said that.
Orlando
Said I would rather.
Martinez,
Said I would rather him.
$4.99. Shout out to the Jets, but also shout out Kenny Pickett.
Rightfully so.
The every
Oh,
show.
Big O said that?
Yeah, Kenny Pickett, shout out.
Big O.
Josh Boateng, tell that man Drew to take that Arsenal jersey off.
This guy's a no ball. Simple as that. We're winning the Prem.
John, I saw you compare Rodgers to the Jets as Kyrie to Dallas.
This is Deco, $1.99. Gotta change that Wilson jersey to Rodgers now. Oh, trust me, I know. Santos, we're counting on you. Aaron Rodgers jersey.
Yeah, for the show.
We're counting on you. Paul Murray, $4.99. With all due respect, y'all suck at these Boom fantasy picks, laughing face. Y'all making my boy Dehls look bad at work. Riv, you need my help?
I'm climbing. I'm right. I'm like a game or 2 behind Drew.
I've been turning up.
I was like
turning
7
up. I
games
won
behind
yesterday.
Drew like a month
You know,
ago.
It's
to be
crazy
fair.
how I started off losing and then I worked my way up and won a ton of Boom fantasy picks to the point that I've lost 2 straight and I'm up like 3-4 games.
No, you're not. You're
still.
only up 2 games. Relax.
No, I'm not.
I have
it right
14
here.
wins. You have 16. Relax.
I'm 16 and 12.
Okay, and I have 14 wins.
No, but I'm talking about like in terms of the win-loss.
Yeah, I don't know why we counted a win or a loss when you were gone. Because now it's off whack. But either which way, fine.
No comment.
You have 29 wins.
Allegedly.
And losses. You have 29
And you have
picks total.
28.
I have 28.
which makes no sense. Should have stopped when you were gone, but fine.
I did stop when we were.
Yeah,
when I
it was
was
then
out.
why is there
we
an
probably
extra-
had one game? There's an All-Star break.
But I don't understand how I have one extra and so does Rev.
All I know
Couldn't
is
tell
that
I don't make the
I'm 4 games above 500, and today I will be 5 today because Joel Embiid is gonna go crazy. Paul Murray, Josh used the PS code on BetterHelp.
Oh, nice.
Josh.
We're not with them no more, but
Oh,
if they want to sponsor us again, sure, Josh.
Yeah, we're here.
Sad nil. D'Lo always wilts in the playoffs. What do you think about that?
well,
Now
we're
to
gonna have to
Lakers?
wait. No, because right now when he's in
He's
a
on the
Lakers
heater.
uniform, he's different.
D'Lo.
Deloading?
No, I just didn't know what you said.
No, he's a star.
Okay.
Next question.
He is a star. He's better than DeJounte Murray.
Clears.
Okay.
I don't got time today.
No,
Nah.
not one of those days.
Not one of those days.
This
no.
from Barbershack. It's still Giants over Jets. Stand the up, Drew. Make it clap, boy.
What? Okay. All right.
Giants over Jets.
Yeah, that was.
The Giants have one of the hardest schedules this upcoming season.
They suck.
It's going to be tough.
I can't
This
wait
from-
to shit on them
Came in
again.
third
Late-
place, and that's what they got.
Lative Love. Bleed green at Dehls at Joel. Jets are a top 5 AFC.
He
East
literally
team.
said in the Discord,
AFC team.
if Aaron Rodgers goes to the Jets, I am officially a Jets fan now.
I'm
Who
crying.
was this team before?
No, nobody.
Oh, just
He was a Chiefs and Rodgers guy. I
Oh,
mean, no,
ew.
Mahomes and Rodgers guy.
Ew.
Front runner. He's a
Sounds like
LeBron
this guy.
fan. He's a LeBron
What do you
fan.
mean?
Yeah.
no. I was talking about Joel.
I was gonna say
Mahomes
what,
and
what are you
Rodgers.
saying?
I mean, I support.
You're just Mahomes Burrow.
I said Mahomes,
Trevor.
Burrow, Aaron Rodgers. Now,
Herbert.
now I like all the elite guys. What?
Facts. Nothing
What?
wrong
What?
with
Do you not? Why are you knocking my hustle?
Not wrong with that at all.
And Jordan Love in a couple years will be in that tier, and you're gonna say, "Oh,
Wow.
you're a Jordan Love guy." And I'm like, that's
You-
been my
you,
guy.
No,
for
you
day
got
one.
Jordan Love stamped for sure.
Joe Burrow stamped. He's been my
Burrow
day
stamped,
one.
for
He's
sure.
day one.
For sure.
And Mahomes, go back. Look at my pin tweet on Twitter.
Yeah, I see it.
Look at my pin tweet
I
on
saw
Twitter.
it.
Dehls, respect me as a man, please. Deco. Wilson said he'd given the next QB that comes hell. Welcome to hell,
It's official?
Rodgers.
Zeke officially released.
Yeah. I mean, we could have saw this coming.
Yeah.
RJ team, Aaron Rodgers to Jets in NBA terms. Kevin Durant to the Suns.
My God.
I don't know about that.
Is that not similar?
That's
I
where
guess.
John said Kyrie to Dallas. I was like,
It's
no.
not
No.
because he makes us contenders.
Yeah, that's fair. I guess Katie to the Suns is fun.
That's fine. Whatever.
Because it's not like the Suns are favorites like to win it all. You know, there's still some teams they got to get through.
Yeah, that's fine. I can dig it.
It's not like K to the Warriors.
KD to the Suns. Yeah, I
KD to
think
the Warriors
that's
is like
fair.
Patrick Mahomes to the.
Fucking Eagles. something.
Yeah, shit like that.
Like, I
Yeah.
don't know what team it goes.
Hugh Boogavelli. It's still Bills Mafia. I'm dying on that hill. As you should. Josh
Should.
Allen's your quarterback. You
The
should
dog.
feel very confident.
That's your boy.
Santos.
I know how I feel
Your
about Big
PG
Josh
jersey is arriving next week. And Drew, did you get your AD jersey?
I didn't see it.
I'm done.
Your
Did you
AD
get-
jersey is actually upstairs.
Why am I last?
And you didn't give it to me?
I
You last
forgot to
follow
bring it
him, no?
down.
No, I was third.
If you want, Drew, you can go bring it down. It's upstairs
Well, once
on
you
my
did
chair.
he get his
Oh, yeah?
jersey ready?
Right
Yeah.
now?
3.
Yeah, it's in the living room. It's on the chair.
Oh
You'll see it
shit!
Oh no, John got his.
John
too,
got
though.
his.
John
Yeah, I
got
was
his too.
third. How did Drew get his before me? He's not even a real human. No, you didn't.
So I followed Santos last. That's what he's telling me, basically.
I followed him first.
Drew's
I was
not
on
even
it.
a real human.
No?
No.
He is a
NPC?
real human.
He's an NPC, bro.
I saw pictures of him and his son. So it's a real human. Paul Murray. Do the Jets have room and big money for big play Slay?
It would be it'd be awesome, but it'd be
Unnecessary.
unnecessary. We have DJ Reed and Sauce. The Jets need to focus on the offensive line. Get some pieces on there because that's really the only thing we're missing offensively. Defensively, could use some help at a couple pieces like safety, but here we go.
Bro got to
Two
lose
packages.
his jersey.
Drew has the AD jersey.
First things first. I want to show this off too. Shout out to my brother Joel.
Oh, facts. This shit's hard.
Little late.
Oh, that
B-Day-
is fire.
Little late B-Day present, but nevertheless. Come on.
You can't really see it. You got to kind of put it in. Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Shitting me? He tweaked with that one.
LeBron James shirt, high school.
Fire.
St.
Irish.
Mary's.
I'll tell you what, I was very hesitant on whether I should get this jersey or not. To be completely
You know,
transparent with you.
on my, I tweeted a
Hated him
tweet
a week
saying,
ago.
I tweeted
did.
I tweeted a tweet saying Aaron Rodgers is the best quarterback in the AFC East, and somebody took a screenshot of me saying Aaron Rodgers is cooked.
Oh,
But that was pro Jordan Love propaganda.
Right,
It wasn't
right.
anti Rodgers.
It was at the game that
It was the Eagles
Love came
game.
in. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's tough. He's got the.
needed this one. I was contemplating
Old
getting
jersey.
this one in obviously LeBron because I have an unbelievable
Ooh,
amount
that's
of
clean.
LeBron jerseys.
It's very
But
clean.
That's extremely.
Shout out
clean.
to Santos for the Anthony Davis jersey.
It's hard.
The bum, but that's a nice jersey.
Who's better than your favorite player?
Steph?
You got him in your top 10.
Cool. I know, but better than Steph?
Who?
You wish. You fucking wish. Never.
On to these
I got
super
spoiled.
chats. Athletic Greens, Tasty Equator, Joel. Yeah, that's
Okay.
true.
Tasty.
Aiden Ramirez, with that little rascal Eckler getting traded. How's Bijan to my Chargers sounding?
My
Yo,
God.
Little Rascal's insane.
If Bijan goes to the Chargers, I'm gonna be so
Yo, you
bitter.
called him a little rascal.
I don't think they select Bijan. I think they go for positional value.
He's on
I
going
agree.
to the Bills, man. I
So
pray.
you're gonna last that long?
I hope so.
Late 20s, early 20s.
I'm praying for it. honestly.
RJ the God, more likely to happen. Lakers conference chip appearance, Knicks conference chip appearance, Jets AFC chip appearance with Aaron or Celtics finals win.
That's actually a tough ass.
I say Jets AFC championship.
I'll
appearance.
say this: the Knicks one is the last.
Yeah.
Is it most likely?
with Aaron Rodgers. Yeah,
I would say that because it's one game.
Which one's last?
The next one,
I
comfortably
agree.
Yeah,
last.
the last
Knicks
one is
last.
the Knicks.
Lakers
I'll say-
is third. I would
Lakers
have
is third.
Celtics.
Yeah, I'll
second,
have
Jets
Jets
first.
one because it's one game. Yeah, I'll have
Celtics
Jets.
winning the finals is more likely than us going to the WCF.
Yes,
Yeah,
because it's
yeah.
a lot less to do for them.
It is.
So I would say Jets, Celtics, then Lakers, then comfortably gaps, then the Knicks.
now Paul Murray again. Duncan and McDonald's should be sponsoring y'all.
Now, the
Sure.
amount of Dunkin' and McDonald's that we have on this show is
It's-
actually nuts.
It's truly
RJ the
just me.
God.
It's most of the year, yes.
If a QB salary wasn't predicated on the QB market, how much would y'all pay Daniel Jones if you were owners?
25 mil.
Like 15, 20 mil.
If what?
If it wasn't predicated on the
QB
QB
market.
market,
I give him 25
that's
mil.
kind of like impossible. To
I
think,
said,
right?
no,
Like-
yeah, horrible question.
He's basically asking,
Listen,
what
I would
we
give
him?
Daniel Jones the Jimmy G contract.
I said 30, 35 million.
Yeah.
Max.
I give him 3 years, 25 each, 25 mil each.
I'd love to give him a 1-year deal worth like 20 mil.
Screaming.
Hope for the best. See what happens. But
There's from Namone Williams. Hey, so I wasn't here last year when basketball ends, and there are no sports for a while. What we doing, or is this a baseball pod also?
we
Yo.
talked about the Mets and Yankees for a little bit
Well,
last
listen,
year.
a week
year
and a half.
round, it's basketball, football, and even when basketball season not going on, we talk about the
Basketball's never
NBA
over.
draft.
Yeah, there's
talk about the
off-season talk,
prospects.
trades,
Basketball's
training
never
camp,
over.
Of
drafts. Yeah, there's
So we'll always
something to
have
talk
something
about.
going.
But
Josh Boateng,
that's
shout
the
out Jay
Yankees.
Edits, LeBron T made by him. Shout out to Jay Edits indeed. He
Shout out
makes
Jay
some
Edits.
great shirts. And last super chat until we go to the next segment, free agency. Same with Dehls and John. Wear it for episode and put it on the wall for a couple episodes.
Of course.
Of course, that will always happen.
Basketball
Always
episode's lit.
happen. Now, we see the super chat from Paul Murray. Now, this will be the last one. If Pels miss the playoffs and Philly loses round one, should New Orleans try to trade Zion, maybe Trey Murphy and picks for Embiid?
No.
No,
Not that one.
No.
I do think trading Zion is very likely. He has played pretty much no games in like 3 to 4 years. It's getting bad.
Respect him.
No, I do, but it's getting bad. Like
What's the trade package though? He becomes impossible to trade for.
Zion, for Embiid?
Zion will demand high value. Some team will take a chance.
But how many exact? But that value is so hard to judge because you understand how great he is. Obviously, when he's on the court with the Pelicans, #1 seed in December, to when he's off the court. But the thing is, he's off the court pretty often. So, what is a team going to be willing to give up in terms of draft capital, in terms of players?
I think
It's
Zion
hard.
still at worst goes for 3 to 4 picks.
That should be the like. That's not even a
gotta
thought. Like,
be a couple
is
proven
he
players
is
in
he
there, too.
getting traded
Boy,
for
a
the
player
same
that's
value?
always hurt.
Is he going to be traded
Yeah.
the same value as DeJounte Murray? Because that's what you're telling me.
No, there'll be some players involved, but nothing. You have to match the contract, so there'll be some players
I
involved. But
guess there.
you got to start looking like, dude. This not even a him being not good problem. This is just a bro. He's never on the court problem.
Uh-huh.
Like it's like he's never on the court.
it's an issue.
And Bi is also injured a lot too. So it's like, how long are you gonna do it? They're like Paul George and Kawhi, but they're younger. They never play.
I know what you're
Like,
saying.
It's pretty tough. With the Embiid shit though, I don't know. You know, Embiid just
People took a chance on Embiid. Well, let me not say people. The Sixers took a chance on Embiid when Embiid missed basically 2.5 years. And he came, obviously, Embiid
the
paid
first
off
year
one of
was
the best
more-
players in
Kinda
the game.
tanked, though.
yeah, that was more like
They did, but at the
little
same
bit
time, he
taken.
wasn't playing because he wasn't healthy enough to play.
I will say the Zion situation, I think, is more worrisome than the Embiid one, in my opinion.
I think it's yeah.
it's tough.
It's understood what Zion needs to do. He should not be holding that much weight. He should not be. It's clear that
but even his play style kind of requires him to be a sort of a type of build.
yes, but
'Cause he
even
uses his
still,
strength, his
think about the
physicality.
build that he had in Duke. He was still able to. Obviously, it's different caliber of player, but even still, he was just vastly more dominant
But think about
than
it.
everyone else.
What did he play? He played like 20 games, 30 games. That's what he played at Duke.
Yeah.
Duke was a 20 to 30 game season. He
Uh-huh.
can do that. But in the NBA, it's an 80 game season.
He played 62 games his second year in the league.
That's like his only time he's played 60 games.
I mean, he's been in the league. This is year 4, right?
Something like that.
Yeah.
It's getting bad. I don't think he's played 100 games in the NBA yet.
I don't think so.
Or it's close to that.
It is. Actually, he played 20-something his rookie season. He played 62, so that's around 80.
Then
He
played
played
20
0 last
And he
season.
played like
He played
20
29 this year.
So he's about at 100.
It's like
and some
around
change.
it, literally.
On to free agency.
That is OD, bro.
We are going to give our top 5 free agent signings and give winners and losers as well. Now, I'll start with number 5.
Okay.
Number 5, I have Alan Lazard to the New York Jets, 4 years, $44 million.
You made me feel good about who I have at 5, just to know that.
The reason why Lazard's at 5 is because not only did we sign one of the better, accomplished wide receiver 3s in the NFL, but that guarantees us Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers now has a buddy in New York that he wants to come to New York. So that's why there's a little cherry on top with the Lazard signing that means a lot.
Okay.
It means a lot. And also, he's Corey Davis' replacement.
Yep.
I did the numbers. Lazard, the last 2 seasons, 30 games, 1,300 yards, 14 touchdowns, 43 yards per game. Davis, last 2 seasons, 22 games, 1,028 yards, 6 touchdowns, 46 yards per game. Production is similar. Alan Lazard stays on the field and is healthy. This is a great signing, Dehls.
Corey Davis dealt with some drops last year. I don't know what Lazard's were off the top of my head, but I know Corey Davis, every time watching a Jets game, he was due for a drop ball. Are we including trades in this or just signings?
Just signings.
Just signings.
Just signings. I don't have this in any particular order, but I'll throw out there TJ Edwards going to the Chicago Bears. 3 years, $20 million with $12 million guaranteed. It's a nothing contract, and I know they signed a big money to Tremaine Edmonds as well. But for this $12 million guaranteed, TJ Edwards was one of the better linebackers last year, both against the run and against the pass. And I know trading Roquan was, bit of different emotions for Bears fans because it was their best player, but I thought it was a good thing. It showed Poles get off a positional value that isn't as important as other positions, even though he kind of backtracked and still signed Tremaine Edmonds regardless. But I think TJ Edwards is going to go under the radar as one of the better signings.
So my number 5 best signing in the offseason so far was Bobby Okereke to the New York Giants. And I say that for the fact the Giants had a massive hole at linebacker, and I'm happy that this was their splash. Only 4 year, $40 million. That's a pretty firm signing. He's a very solid run defender as well, something that the Giants desperately needed to put a hold on to really establish some kind of blocking in that sense, because last year they were horrendous against the run. Their pass defense really wasn't that great. I would like to see them be active in trying to acquire newly released big play Slay. So Bobby Okereke to really put a stamp on their linebacking core, that's very huge for them.
So we're all going 1
5 to 1. Yeah,
Okay.
you go 5.
I didn't have this in particular. I just named my 5 favorites. Mike McGlinchey to Denver. I love the move. I thought bulking up that offensive line, especially for Russell Wilson, who's getting up there in age. He can't be as mobile as he used to be. It was huge. Mike McGlinchey had a really good year last year. He hasn't been, living up to that top 10 pick high profile, but he's still been a really solid offensive lineman. So for me, Mike is definitely on my list because I feel like for Denver, getting help for Russell Wilson on that offensive line, getting him the protection he needs for an older player is something huge for him, especially in this tough AFC.
I'll go next because for me, my number 4 is Mike McGlinchey, and I have a / Ben Powers.
Damn.
McGlinchey at the right tackle was too high.
McGlinchey got overpaid. Ben Powers was fine.
I'm fine with both of them because we needed to address the offensive line, especially right tackle. Yes, we did pay a high price for McGlinchey. Nevertheless, with Russell Wilson last year, a huge issue was that our offensive line was not good. His right side definitely was a main issue. And we also, bringing in Ben Powers, where now we don't have to pay Graham Glasgow, who we did trade for a couple years ago from the Lions. We save a little bit of money there. Ben Powers was great with the Ravens, McGlinchey with the Niners last year. We needed to bolster this offensive line. Joel, you tweeted something a couple days ago that people wanted me to be upset with, but what you said was 100% sound. What we're trying to establish now in Denver is more of a run-oriented team, and these are two guys that are great in run blocking. And what's fine with me there is that Russell Wilson strives in play action. And if we can establish the run and be a great play action team, anything to put Russell Wilson in a position to have success, it's fine with me. People are trying to say, everything that Russ didn't want to be in Seattle, that's the reason why he wanted to request a trade. I don't want to hear it because last season, Russell was not anywhere near what we have known or had seen from Russell Wilson. So now it's about getting back to the fundamentals. And if he wants to divvy away from that, he's going to have to earn that once again. So right now, he does not contain any control or any say in the offense. I'm sure that's a strong word. He probably has a little bit to say, but really, Sean Payton's trying to set the foundation to put Russell Wilson in the position to be most successful. And I think McGlinchey and Ben Powers was that.
So I will say, number 5, I did have Alan Lazard. Slight tweak to that. Because before the podcast, my notes had been fixated on what had happened and not what happened. Juju, 3 years, $33 million to the Patriots. Basically, he's getting the same salary yearly as Jacoby Myers to the Raiders and as Lazard to the Jets. I think Juju is the best value contract of those 3. And the Patriots choosing to not re-sign Myers and bringing in Juju shows that they think Juju's better as well.
For the same contract, that's honestly a slap in the face to Jacoby Myers.
No, I think Juju's a better player than him.
It's marginal. I mean, if you want to say that, I have no real strong pushback. Really, I don't. But really, all Juju's done since coming into the league is regress.
He's got a point. He's got a point. Juju came in on a ridiculous.
He had 933 yards last year.
He was next to
Mahomes.
Exactly.
He was next to AB. AB left. Shit got bad from there.
Yeah, got bad quick.
No,
yeah,
like
I mean,
fast.
it got bad, but he's somebody.
His sophomore season was unbelievably great.
Yeah, it's like 21 years old, putting up 1,500.
Yeah, something dumb.
His third season, he's basically went from 89 yards a game that sophomore season to 46 to 52 to then he got injured in 2021. And then 2022, 58 yards per game. He's basically been around the 51 to 58 yards per game. Yeah,
he's nothing crazy.
Yeah,
but
I think Jacoby Myers. I think Juju's slightly better, but I would have that as number 5. But you know, the icing on the top, the cherry on the top with Lazard and Rodgers, I like that. But number 4, Javon Hargrave, 4 years, $88 million.
I have that a little higher on mine.
Yeah, that's at 4 for me. Given the contract is massive, given
is.
He's the second best player in free agency.
Yep.
You could argue he's the best defensive player in free agency.
Oh, who'd you have as 1?
The one
best free agent available.
Lamar.
Fair enough. That makes sense.
Javon Hargrave. The 49ers desperately needed somebody opposite of Eric Armstead.
Yep.
And since 2021, Armstead, number 1 in pressure rate at that position at 15%. And that was in 2021. But in 2022, he finished 4th at 13.2%. He had 42 pass rush wins when doubled, and the 49ers defensive tackles recorded 59 pressures combined in 2022, which is the 4th fewest in the NFL. Javon Kinlaw was getting abused all season. Teams targeted him, but now with Hargrave and Armstead, you can't do that. And the 49ers don't have a lot of holes. So this was a massive upgrade at the interior of the defensive line.
Number 4, I got James Bradberry re-signed with the Philadelphia Eagles. This was before Darius Slay was released. Even if he was still on the team, they needed another cornerback opposite of him. But now that Slay is gone, this deal is even more important. And overall, it was pretty cheap. Let me bring it up here. I don't remember time.
Bradberry was 3 years, $38 million.
3 years, 38. That's more than a firm contract.
He amazing deal.
What might be his best year of his career. Still relatively young, late 20s, I want to say.
28, 29.
Yeah, so for the Eagles, who are still trying to get back to the Super Bowl, trying to prove to themselves that it wasn't a fluke, they still are the best team in the NFC. This was a huge sign for them.
I also had Bradberry back to Philly at 4. I just think we're losing Slay. We're cutting Slay, and we're pretty naked. We might lose CJ. We're still in the hunt. We lost Marcus Epps. You needed somebody that can, you needed a number 1 corner. And we have that. I think this is definitely assures we'll pick a corner in the draft. But bringing back Bradberry, like you said, had damn near a amazing season. He had one of his best seasons of his career. Bring him back is huge. We still get to keep somebody that's a veteran of the secondary. So I definitely had Bradberry at 4.
Go ahead, bud. 3.
Number 3, I have Obi Okoronkwo. 3 years, $22 million. Since week 7 onward, he ranked top 10 in pass rush grade among edge defenders. And Okoronkwo is one of the more underrated edge rushers in the NFL. The only reason why the Texans' pass rush was better than expected was because he was a dog.
Yeah.
He has a variety of pass rush moves. He can win with power. He can win with speed. And you look at the Browns and what they've needed. They've needed an edge rusher to complement Myles Garrett. They've tried to have it in Jadeveon Clowney.
It worked.
Clowney is not Okoronkwo. I think Okoronkwo is better than him.
Okay.
I know Clowney has name value.
Yeah.
But as a pass rusher, Okoronkwo is better. And they also signed Dalvin Tomlinson. So
was a great
now
tr-
the
that was a great
defensive
signing, too.
line has vastly improved, which will only help out the secondary. So Okoronkwo is number 3 on my board.
Go ahead, Joel.
Number 3, I got which one? Okay, I'm gonna go with this one just because I think we all knew where he was going, but I still love it. Geno Smith re-signing with the Seattle Seahawks for only $25 million per year. The perfect bridge quarterback. And honestly, if you take positional value into account, you can make the argument number 1 for only getting paid $25 million when we see someone like as great as Javon Hargrave is getting $20 million as an interior defensive lineman. Geno Smith, it always felt like the best spot for him was Seattle, and Seattle's best chance to compete next year was Geno Smith. We'll see what they do in free agency, but for the value, the position, the leader he's become for the Seahawks, I think this is perfect.
I'll tell you what, I didn't think about Geno because the news had happened already, but everything you just said is 100% sound. If I could go back, I definitely would put Geno in my list, but I'm just going based off moves that have happened these past couple of days. Number 3, I'm going with Juwan Taylor. Now, I understand that was a high number that they paid for him, but he's a very firm pass blocker. That's exactly what you want, especially protecting the blind side of the franchise, Patrick Mahomes. And it forces you, or excuse me, let me not say that. It puts you in a position where now you don't have to sign Orlando Brown if you don't feel like he's the one, the guy to be your franchise left tackle or the guy that's going to protect the franchise in Patrick Mahomes. I think that this was a great signing. Stealing him away from the Jaguars was shocking to me. I thought the Jaguars were going to re-sign him. Jaguars have seemingly been a little bit quiet for my liking. So getting Juwan Taylor, if you're the Chiefs, this is a great move for me.
For me, I have Jamal Dean back to the Bucks. I thought this was a great move. I got caught being a casual a couple years back by my fellow boy Joel on Jamal Dean. He's been one of the best corners in the league. He's been amazing for the Bucks, and they need to bring people back. They also brought back Baker. Yeah, they also brought back what?
They just signed Baker Mayfield.
I thought you said somebody important. They also brought back Levante David. Mean? So bringing those two guys back was huge, especially Dean. He's been one of their best corners for the past couple of years. So I got
Baker Mayfield with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. Watch out, man.
You have to
With Rashad White?
Are you sure he's going to beat out Kyle Trask?
Come on, man. Stop it, Dehls. Stop it, Dehls. Number 2, David Long Jr. 2 years, $11 million for the Miami Dolphins. This guy, he was the best linebacker in the free agency class. He's better than Tremaine Edmonds. He's better than TJ Edwards. He's better than Bobby Okereke. And he got paid less. That's because he only played 12 games in 2022. But when talking about his production, he tackled opposing ball carriers for a loss or no gain on 6.6% of his run defensive snaps. That's the second highest run stuff rate. And he ranked 15th in yards allowed per coverage snap. And 65% of his tackles produced a positive play for his defense. And he had 18 pressures last year. This is somebody who's good in coverage. He's a great run stuffer. I would say elite run stuffer. And he's also a great blitzer as well. David Long Jr., for what the Dolphins paid, this was, to me, the biggest steal in free agency. And the Dolphins defense, it's looking dangerous. It's looking very, very elite.
This was Drew's number 3, my number 2, Juwan Taylor going to the Chiefs. The most interesting part about this is that he's played right tackle his entire career. Yeah. And I think it's reported they want to move him to the left side, or maybe that's not up for discussion, but Orlando Brown moving on most likely does open left tackle as a position of need for them. It is interesting with Mahomes because his pocket presence, obviously one of the best in the league, if not the best in the league. So maybe that opens up leaving Juwan Taylor on the right side where he's been so dominant. Last year, he was top 15 in pass blocking grade and pressures allowed or pressure rate allowed. So in terms of pass protection, he's one of the best. Run blocking isn't as great. But when you're the Chiefs, you're going to be throwing the ball 40 plus times per game. You obviously want a guy who's an expert in pass protection. It's just going to be interesting to see how they fit him on the offensive line, whether they go to left tackle, which is more important for Mahomes as a right-handed quarterback, or stick him at his natural position.
My number 2 best signing this offseason was the Eagles re-signing James Bradberry. For that price tag, for him to not even be a top 10 highest paid corner in the league per year, and for him to have been an all-pro last season, is an absolute steal if I'm the Philadelphia Eagles, especially for situation. You mentioned it and you mentioned it already. You're going to lose Slay. You lost Epps. There was a strong need to retain at least one of these guys in the secondary. You bring back Bradberry for that price tag. You can't beat that. For me, that I contemplating it putting number 1 for how great value that contract was, but we're going to go and talk about number 1 a little bit.
Now, number 1 for me. Oh, did you give your number 2, Riv?
I did not.
Okay.
My number 2 is Hargrave to the Niners. Like I said, this is not in any specific order.
That's fine. No, Hargraves is great.
Stealing Hargrave hurt. It was definitely painful, especially the year he came off of. I think we have depth, so I think we'll be fine. But for the Niners, bringing him into an already elite defense, somebody that could wreak havoc on the offensive line, I thought it was huge. And I thought bringing him in is definitely huge for what they're going to do for the defense next year. So Hargrave for me is at 2.
Number 1 for me happened yesterday. That's Byron Murphy to the Minnesota Vikings.
Interesting. You have a very interesting list, if I'm going to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I'm not hating on it. It's definitely unique, and I appreciate it.
Byron Murphy, 2 years, $22 million, $11 million a year. Byron Murphy's a cornerback number 1.
Yeah.
He's a cornerback number 1 when talking about the positional need, because Hargrave to the Niners is awesome. He's a great player.
Absolutely.
They have a defense tackle, although they needed another one. That wasn't a dire need. Obi Okoronkwo, Browns needed it. Is it dire? I'm not dire. David Long Jr. to the Dolphins. They needed a guy in the middle, but Jerome Baker's good.
No doubt.
It wasn't dire. When talking about the Vikings, cornerback has been a dire need. They lost Patrick Peterson, and outside of him, you have Cam Dancer, who they waived, Andrew Booth Jr., who was a rookie.
Majority of the season.
Yeah, like this was a major need. And for them to sign him to $11 million a year, a cornerback 1, 5 interceptions last year, 5 forced fumbles. He had 3 sacks, 34 passes defended. He lined up on the outside 50% of the time and in the slot 43% of the time. He is somebody who's as versatile as they come. He can play on the outside, on the inside. And when talking about what the moves the Vikings made, I'm going to shout them out next segment. Yep. The Vikings, I thought they're doing a great job. They're doing a great job. And Byron Murphy, to me, I love him in Minnesota.
Definitely. Go ahead. Sorry, I just wanted to talk about the Byron Murphy at number 1. Understandable. Byron Murphy is definitely one of the more underrated corners in the league. For necessity, you could say that arguably was the move made out of most necessity because of how horrendous their secondary was. One of the worst pass defenses last season was the Minnesota Vikings, and they lost to the New York Football Giants in the playoffs because of how bad their secondary was. So I'm fine. I'm fine with that selection. Byron Murphy definitely was in consideration to be in my top 5, but he did not make that list, unfortunately.
Yeah, he didn't make my list either. When you look at his stats allowed in terms of like yardage allowed and touchdowns, it doesn't look great. But you also have to remember defense. It's really hard, even if you're a great corner, if you don't have the pieces around you, it's really hard to put up, spectacular numbers and be a shutdown guy. So I think for the Vikings, like you guys mentioned, out of necessity, a great move for them. But number 1, Javon Hargrave. I think he's going to have the biggest impact outside of quarterbacks, obviously, like Geno. He's going to have the biggest impact for this Niners team. Eric Armstead missed some games last year with injury. Even when he was playing, he wasn't his prototypical elite self. Javon Hargrave is coming out a career year with Philly, double-digit sacks. He could stop the run. And for a Niners team that didn't feel like they had a ton of holes outside of quarterback, it seems like they're cool riding with Purdy, Trey Lance, signing Sam Darnold as well. But to bring in Hargrave, you bring in another elite defender to a defense that was already one of the best defenses we have seen. They just need their quarterback to go out there and be average in the NFC, and they can get the number 1 seed.
I'm under the exact same belief. Javon Hargrave is my number 1 best signing of this offseason. This defense was already one of the best defenses in the league for a majority of the season. This was the number 1 defense in the league, did finish the top of the NFL as well. And then you add Javon Hargrave to that defensive line, making them, again, the best defensive line in football. Nick Bosa, you have Eric Armstead, now you have Javon Hargrave. This team just continues to get better and better defensively. Offensively is going to be the question, of course, because you don't know what's going to happen at quarterback, but you just made yourself, where you already were a dominant powerhouse, you just solidified that even more. So that's why I have Javon number 1.
To finish off my list, one of my favorite moves, Tremaine Edmonds to the Bears. A little bit of an overpay, but somebody, I watched the Buffalo Bills a lot last year, and somebody who can cover, he can tackle, he can defend the run. I think for him, what Chicago has done is bringing him into the fold, especially that defense and that scheme that he fits. He's somebody that can impact the team. He's somebody that can come in and be an all-pro player, be a player that can be the best player on their defense. So for me, that's one of my guys.
You know, I'm glad you mentioned that. I didn't have him on my list, but I did believe that it was a good signing. Yes, it was an overpay. I really want to talk to you, Joel, because, and I'm not knocking you for being critical of this signing from the Bears, because it was a lot of money that they paid to him, and you believe that there were better value players that you could have got for less. Understandable. You made some really good points. Yeah, no,
or with
for sure,
Edwards,
they did. But did you feel similarly when the Jets brought in C.J. Mosley?
So, I'm sorry, who are you talking?
Both.
I don't know. That's like years ago. I don't know
agree.
How I felt. I was happy when we brought.
That was the same offseason as Le'Veon Bell.
It was, yeah. That was the last Mike McCagnon year.
Yeah, I mean, I thought CJ was a good signing.
You thought it was a good sign. Did you think it was an overpay?
Something could be good in
CJ
an
was coming
overpie.
off an All-Pro year.
He was great.
Yeah,
Leader of a defense.
CJ Mosley, Tremaine Edmonds cannot compare to him.
Not saying that, but I'm saying, what did you think it was an overpay then?
Honestly, it probably slightly.
Yeah, something
but
could be an
CJ Mosley
overpay and still a
deserved
good
it.
sign.
I don't think Tremaine Edmonds deserves
Yeah, I
this.
think Tremaine
I
Edmonds
don't
is still a
think.
great
I don't
defender,
think.
though. in
I
his
don't
own
think
right.
they're.
He's good.
They're
He's
paying.
not
They're
great.
paying Tremaine for
He's
what he can
inconsistent.
be. I think.
Yeah,
Yeah. So,
Tremaine Edmonds is inconsistent at best. He's up and down. What happened there?
No, he just spit facts.
No, it's just Miami fans are saying
They're
that the
cooking you?
AFC runs through them.
Oh.
And I said, oh, that's funny. The Jets beat Miami by 30 with Zach Wilson. They said, oh, we didn't have Tua.
they also have not won a division.
And I said, how much better is Zach Wilson than Skylar Thompson? I'm being so serious. I don't know. Same tier. Let's be honest.
Same tier? No, Skylar's dead worse. I'll be honest.
Nah,
I watched him play. He's fucking
Skylar's
awful.
horrendous.
He's like, what's that quarterback that was with the Niners? The what's his name? That played in the playoffs? Johnson.
Oh,
Yeah,
Josh
he's him.
Johnson.
Yeah,
This guy, man.
I'm
Zach
gonna eat
Wilson's
my
gonna-
words.
He's gonna make it look like fool in
This
4 years.
This past year, him and Skylar Thompson. were on
Now
the same
listen.
tier.
Tremaine Edmonds, he's not even the best linebacker in Buffalo.
It was
Matt
Milano's
Milano's
better.
better
Milano's a
than him.
dog, though.
But
They
Matt
both are dogs.
Milano's better though, and Matt Milano took the hardest coverage assignment each time, and that's why Tremaine Edmonds had the highest PFF coverage grade. But that's because they're grading him out based on who they're covering.
Yeah,
like Tremaine Edmonds is not taking the toughest assignment. Matt Milano is, and when Milano was injured, the Bills' defense dropped because he is the one that is the most important to their defense, and that's why the Bills valued re-signing him and extending him over bringing back Tremaine Edmonds. When talking about Edmonds, he's an inconsistent player. He's up and down. He shows great flashes. Listen, he's a good player. I'm not saying he's not a good player, but he got paid elite money. He's not an elite linebacker.
The Bears needed to pay that, though.
he got paid to be what he can be in Buffalo.
If they needed to
Chicago.
pay that, they should have just kept Roquan
But
Smith.
they just had some. I'm not disagreeing with you there. I agree
They traded
with that.
Roquan Smith for what?
But
Like
they-
a
second
third?
round pick.
Second. But you need you'll
that's
take
why
the
it's
draft cap.
confusing, though.
Yeah,
Hindsight,
nah.
yeah, but
That's why, because Ryan Poles said we have to be smart about what positions we pay top dollar. That's why I was confused because, okay, you didn't want to pay Roquan, who's an elite linebacker, elite money, but you paid Tremaine Edmonds, who's a good linebacker, elite money.
Yep.
That's what I didn't get.
I'm under the same belief. I think it was definitely an overpay. But if I'm the Bears, I understand that my defense needed desperate help. But then once you mention Roquan Smith, that's when it's hard to really defend it. But the one thing you can say is, hey, at the minimum, we did get draft compensation. And yes, we were still able to bring in someone. I think how much would Roquan Smith sign
I was
for?
just
100
looking 100 mil,
million.
but Roquan
45.
had 45 fully guaranteed, and Tremaine Edmonds got 50 guaranteed.
Yeah.
yeah, that's weird. I didn't
The
see
Ravens and Roquan Smith went to Baltimore and he changed the Ravens defense
Absolutely.
around.
What was Tremaine's? Is 5 years or is it 4 years? 80.
4 years, 72 for Edmonds.
4 years, 72.
He's getting paid $18 million a year.
Cool.
Tremaine Edmonds.
Tremaine.
A lot of that is front loaded. But like I said,
Yeah, it's
Roquan
actually
Smith-
not that bad.
Roquan Smith went to Baltimore and he changed their defense around to the point that if Lamar had been healthy, they probably beat Cincinnati in the playoffs. That's how great
I don't disagree.
and elite their defense was playing. Tremaine Edmonds is not a game changer. Roquan Smith is, but they
I
paid him
agree.
game changer money. That's my only gripe with it.
Okay.
I think Tremaine Edmonds is a fine player, but
Mhm.
he got paid too much
As long
money.
as Tremaine didn't get paid more than Roquan.
Tremaine got
Like Bobby Okereke got $10 million a year. If Tremaine Edmonds got 12, okay, I'm fine.
Tremaine
But
got 30. He got
significantly more.
36 mil guaranteed at the signing, so he pretty much got all his money guaranteed
Okay.
just now.
Okay. Interesting.
So that's not that bad. That's actually not that bad.
For
They
going
can-
on-
they can get off that contract in 2026.
We know we mentioned our top 5 free agent signings, but now we're going to mention winners and losers of this free agency / off-season period. So going on to the winners first. Number 1, Minnesota Vikings. Just talking about the offseason period, they signed Byron Murphy, who I think is a cornerback 1, desperately needing that. Marcus Davenport, 1 year, $13 million. Darius Slay tweeted on his Twitter, this Vikings defense is fast. You look at Andrew Booth, Byron Murphy, Marcus Davenport, Daniil Hunter, Harrison Phillips, Jordan Hicks is still there, who was solid last season. And then in the secondary, I'm not sure if they're going to cut Harrison Smith or not, but if they don't, it's Harrison Smith and Cam Bynum or Lewis Seen, who is very fast. And I think that with Brian Flores, this defense is going to look much different. And I like the direction the Vikings are going in. They cut Eric Kendricks. They cut Adam Thielen, guys who have been fixtures of Minnesota. But what Kwesi is doing, their GM, he is building this roster up from the ground. They've already said they're not going to extend Kirk Cousins. I agree with that because they want to win big. The Vikings have been teetering mediocrity, and I think Kwesi's making the moves to make this team more than just a middle of the pack team. I think he wants to make this team contenders, and I'm all on board with it. And that's why I got the Vikings as a winner.
My winner's New York Jets. Aaron Rodgers, pretty simple. Even before it was official, it felt like it was always going that way. So even before, when I was doing my notes last night, I had Rodgers just to put it out there and put it into an existence. But now he goes on the McAfee show and says he wants to be a Jet. I mean, we could talk about Alan Lazard and re-signing Quincy Williams. So I thought a very reasonable contract, 3 years, $18 million. Bryce Huff got a second-round tender, who's been a great pass rusher when given the snaps, just hasn't been on the field a ton. But this year, I'm sure he'll get on the field more. We just lost a couple of D linemen. But obviously, Aaron Rodgers, he changes the franchise. He changes the Jets' entire outlook from going to a borderline playoff team to now a team that's going to be one of the favorites to win the Super Bowl. It changes everything. I mean, I don't think there's any way you could really undersell it. And like I said, this is just the start for the Jets. Aaron Rodgers is the number one piece. And then from there, we'll see what other moves get made.
I won't shit on it. I was going to
go.
Go ahead.
Dehls, I want to just tell Dehls something right here, and I tell it to the audience and you guys. Bryce Huff, don't sleep on him.
He's a dog.
I think that it's possible that Carl Lawson moves on from the Jets and we move on from him. Bryce Huff can replace him and do better. Bryce Huff is that good. He's that good.
We got to see if the efficiency matches when he gets more opportunity, but in his limited opportunity, he's been extremely efficient.
I was going to say, I'm not going to shit on you because I was you last season. I felt the exact same way, except now you're getting Rodgers, and there's a difference from Rodgers and Russell. Respect.
No, it's fact, though.
Of course, because Rodgers is.
I didn't mean it in a disrespectful.
That's how it came across, but I'm glad you fixed yourself, so I appreciate that. So go ahead.
Aaron just makes these guys a bigger winner than what they already are. Chicago Bears, is there even a bigger winner than maybe getting Aaron Rodgers? I mean, 2 first-round picks, Tremaine Edwards, Nate Davis, TJ Edwards. They got DJ Moore, a number 1 receiver, and Aaron left the division, a person who's owned them for damn near a decade. So that makes it even more of a winner. I mean, Chicago, what they've done for their quarterback in the past month has just been extremely amazing. You know, they're the biggest winners to me. Bringing in the number 1 for your quarterback, which is probably the most important thing. Bringing in draft capital, which is still huge. They still have a top 10 pick, which is amazing. Bringing in linebackers that fit the scheme, that's perfect. Bulking up that defense that cost them a lot of games in last season, because we saw Justin Fields, even when he's inconsistent as a passer, put up points a lot of those games and keep those games close. Defense just couldn't handle it. So for me, the Bears are just comfortably the biggest winners because of what they've done in the draft, what they've done in bulking up their draft capital, and then fixing that. Maybe not fixing it entirely, but definitely fixing a part of that defense, which is the linebackers. They still need some work to do, but they have a buttload of cap to use. So the Bears are the winners for me.
All right, so I have 2 winners, but of course, we're going to go over the winner that everyone's expecting me to say, and that's the Denver Broncos. We needed help on the offensive line. I already mentioned in my top 5 best signings this offseason. You bring in Ben Powers from the Ravens to replace Glasgow in that guard position, and then you bring in Mike McGlinchey, who you may feel like that's an overpay, but at the right tackle, which I've seen has been a hole for us for a little while now. I'm happy that we can actually solidify that. We bring in Zach Allen to add to the defensive line. I'm fine. I'm happy with the signing, absolutely. But why I'm even more happy with it is because Randy Gregory, if he's healthy, is very good and was very good for us last year. But that's the big issue. If he's healthy, and he hadn't been, he would play, he'd get hurt, he'd come back, he'd play, he'd get hurt again. So now we add some little more depth to that, especially after trading Bradley Chubb. We need a little bit more help on the defensive line. So bringing in Zach was really great. And then re-signing Alex Singleton, we needed help at linebacker. Josie was great. I was happy that he was back with the boys, but then Alex Singleton came in and really solidified himself, and I'm happy that we re-signed him for 3 years. Then next is those Miami Dolphins. Trading for Jalen Ramsey for only a 3rd-round selection is an absolute steal. And now you solidify themselves as arguably the best corner duo in the league with Xavier Howard and Jalen. We're going to talk about that a little bit later, but why I don't have them as number 1 is because last year was probably the worst that we've seen Xavier Howard. And by the worst, I want that to be in the standard of Xavier Howard, where we understand Xavier has been elite for basically his entire career. And this was really the first time that we saw him kind of be lackluster. You mentioned it, lackluster for his standards, of course. But you mentioned it, David Long, bringing him in right next to Jerome Baker. That was an excellent signing for them, especially for the value that they got. And running backs, I would have liked them to be a little bit more outward and trying to bring in a better talent than what they had, because they re-signed Raheem, they re-signed Jeff Wilson, which I'm happy with. But I still think that that's the piece. If I'm looking at the Miami Dolphins, I think what they did was fine. Also bringing in Mike White as a backup kind of paid him a little bit more than what I was expecting. $8 million a year for 2 seasons, total of $16 million. But that was an in a way necessary for the fact that Tua obviously does have the concussion concussion history. You want to make sure that you have at least a competent backup, and Mike White is a competent backup. But I still think the one move that they do have to make is address that running back. I like Raheem Mostert as much as the next guy. I like Jeff Wilson. Jeff Wilson was really solid for them. Right? They did re-sign both of them.
Raheem barely plays.
But I want them to be a little bit more active, understanding that now Zeke becomes available, where Zeke did just get released from the Cowboys. Is that someone that they look for as a change of pace, bruiser type running back? Dalvin Cook, there's a potential that Dalvin Cook may be released. That's another name that I'm looking at if I'm the Dolphins. And then lastly, where apparently these reports got shut down, the Titans are not moving on from Derrick Henry, but that was a big name of who I thought the Dolphins would go after. But Ezekiel Elliott, Dalvin Cook, these are two names that if I'm the Dolphins, I'm looking at. But other than that, the Dolphins have tried to solidify this defense, and that's really what they needed to focus on.
Diggs is going to have fun playing Miami.
I'm really happy for the Dolphins because they found a backup quarterback as good as a starter.
Oh my God.
That's always good to find in free agency.
I mean, that statement's not even rude. What he's saying is they found a backup that's as good as a starter in the sense of, hey, he's a backup that could be a starter.
No. That's not what he meant at all.
You know that's not what he meant.
It's not what he meant.
Thinks he's as good as
he thinks he's good as Tua. The joke was very blatant.
I don't think he thinks that.
Okay. Why do you think he giggled after?
It's not that. I mean,
look, why do you think he
what
giggled?
would the production be?
Mike White would put up numbers for sure.
You remember Skylar Thompson was supposed to do the same thing as Tua? Remember that? People were actively on Twitter, on social media, saying Skylar Thompson is a better option at quarterback than Tua Tagovailoa. Let's just understand how dumb people sound sometimes. So let's just be conscious of that.
Okay, I hate that. So let's my other winner. I have two other winners. I'm gonna rattle them off right now.
Fine, go ahead.
The Tennessee Titans. I think that when you look at the team, you're not quite sure what direction they're going in because there's a lot of question marks. Ryan Tannehill, will he stay? Derrick Henry was shopped earlier, but then that report was refuted. But looking at the Titans, defensively, what they did, I love. Arden Key is a fantastic player who I think is underrated. He was a main part of the Jaguars' success on the defensive line last season. And the Titans are possibly going to cut Bud Dupree. He's not going to be on the team anymore. You look at Arden Key with Harold Landry coming back, Jeffrey Simmons. I love that defensive line. They lost David Long, but they gained Azeez Al-Shaair, who was the 49ers' third best linebacker. The Niners have Fred Warner, Dre Greenlaw. Al-Shaair is very good as well. So I think replacing those positions, Bud Dupree and David Long, with two players who can give them similar production is great. And they just cut Taylor Lewan. But on the left side, the left tackle position, they signed Andre Dillard, who has been a backup with Philly, but has shown flashes of being a starting left tackle. So I like that a lot for them as well. And then the Lions. Signing Cameron Sutton, 3 years, $33 million. They need secondary help just to be bad. Last year, they were 30th in EPA per dropback defensively. You get Cam Sutton, you sign Emmanuel Mosley, who has shown flashes of being a CB1, but his main question is staying healthy. So now it's Emmanuel Mosley, Cam Sutton, Jeff Okudah, Jerry Jacobs, Kirby Joseph, Tracy Walker. This secondary is starting to shape up like a formidable one. And they also signed David Montgomery. He replaces Jamal Williams. I wish they would have kept Williams because I love him a lot.
Understandable.
The culture he set in Detroit. But Montgomery's a good back. He's all right. Khalil Herbert is better than him, though. He is better than him. He is. I mean, Khalil Herbert, he has more burst.
He's got more.
I like running backs with burst. I like running backs with burst. That's my fixation.
And for the contract that they got, for the contract they got, Jamal was going to be more than $6 million a season. Absolutely.
I mean,
probably not a lot though.
I think Montgomery on the field can do a similar job as Jamal, but you mentioned it, intangibles, leadership. That's something that the Lions are desperately going to miss.
After they stat padded his touchdowns, of course he was going to be worth more.
He did get a ton of 1-yard touchdowns.
Yeah. They stat padded the
17 is still
ridiculous for sure.
He broke the record.
Yeah, it did.
Lions franchise record.
That's why he's going to get paid though. Like,
good
he's
for
going to
him.
get paid.
I'm happy for him. It's a great dude.
I had an honorable mention. And by the way, these are like, I agree with your winners too. I think the Jets won. I think the Dolphins won. The Bears won. The Broncos also had a good offseason. The Texans quietly making okay moves.
Well said.
They signed Jimmy Ward, now pairing him with Jalen Petrie. I love that a lot. You have Derek Stingley there. They're creating a formidable defense now. They traded for Shaq Mason. Larry Tunsil, Shaq Mason. Their offensive line is looking good. Titus Howard on the opposite side at right tackle. And their wide receivers, I mean, I think the Texans just do the best job of signing mid-tier wide receivers. Like they signed Robert Woods and Noah Brown. Brandon Cooks maybe stays, he doesn't, but if he stays,
Bring him to Denver.
let's say they draft Bryce Young. Bryce Young now has an okay offensive line. He has Cooks, Woods, Noah Brown. It's okay. Damian Pierce, which he's going to benefit from an improved offensive line. I think they're shaping up to have a lot of good players. And then the draft, they have a ton of picks. So if they can hit on those picks, the Texans can, really elevate further than people think.
Commanders just signed Jacoby Brissett.
That's good.
He could be their starter. We're dapping that. Okay.
Sam Howell clears.
Brissett. Sam Howell.
There'll be a battle.
Down.
There'll be a battle.
I think that's what Rivera said. He said if a veteran comes in and beats Sam Howell, then so be it.
He will beat out Sam Howell.
We'll see.
There's a chance.
Brissett will be.
Brissett was great
strong
last
chance.
year.
Strong chance. Brissett was really good with the Browns.
So those are my winners. Do you guys have a second winner? Do you want to name?
I said it. The Broncos and the Dolphins. Those are my two winners.
I'm good with one.
Yeah, I do want to mention the Atlanta Falcons just because they might have spent the most money. Jesse Bates. They got Chris Lindstrom, a guard, to $100 million contract. David Onyemata. So they signed, huge contracts. But when you look at positional value, you gave Jesse Bates a huge deal, a guard a huge deal, even interior defensive lineman, $10 million a season. This Falcons team, I think, is starting to trade for Jonnu Smith. Maybe starting to see their window is starting to open up. They don't have a quarterback. I'm not a big Desmond Ridder guy. So that is the one piece that if these signings were with a team that already had an established quarterback, maybe on a rookie deal, and they need the defense to work up, I get it. But I think the Falcons also see a very weak division and a weak conference, and Arthur Smith is going into year 3. He wants to make the playoffs, and these signings will help that.
Yeah,
another underrated part of the Jonnu Smith trade. Jonnu Smith's a really firm blocker.
Yes.
And now it does not force Kyle Pitts to have to be that traditional blocking tight end. That is the hope.
They still don't have a quarterback.
They don't. But
I just look at what Jonnu did with
they signed
Arthur
Taylor
Smith.
Heineke.
He was really great.
He's so serious.
He might be better.
I mean, it's not
Taylor,
saying much.
I think that he will start over Ridder.
And either way, you're not in a good position.
What selection do they have? Is it past 10?
I mean, Atlanta wants some games.
Nah, they're top 10.
Atlanta
They
wants
have
some
like
games.
eighth pick, I believe.
Listen,
I think the Atlanta Falcons, they made a lot of good signings, but if they don't have that quarterback figured out, then it doesn't mean anything.
They'll be like a 7-8 win team.
And now on to my loser. Cincinnati Bengals losing Jesse Bates and Von Bell hurts a lot. I know that they're expecting for, I'm forgetting his name off the top of my head, Dax Hill. They're expecting Dax Hill to fulfill those shoes. It's a lot to ask. So, Von Bell was a hard-hitting safety who brought toughness to the defense, and Jesse Bates was amongst one of the elite players at his position for years now. Asking that of Dax Hill is a lot. So I'm curious to see how the Bengals fix up that hole. And the Ravens, I just think that putting the non-exclusive tag on Lamar Jackson was an idiotic move because not only does it signal that you don't want to give Lamar money, but I think it's disrespectful. It's disrespectful, and it just feels like right now the Ravens with Lamar Jackson, that relationship is beyond repair. And that's the worst thing that the Ravens could have done because this guy's a franchise quarterback, and that's why they're losers for me in the offseason.
And as of 7 minutes ago, Lamar can officially negotiate with other teams. So it's been no noise, pitch black out of Baltimore, out of Lamar's side. There has been no leaks saying he's interested in these teams. Obviously, we heard the day they put the tag on him that there was 5-6 teams that weren't interested in him. But it is interesting that all these other moves are being made. We haven't heard anything from Lamar. Now he can officially go out there and negotiate a deal. My loser is the Chargers. Not because they went out and lost anybody. I don't think they've lost any free agents, but they haven't made any real moves. They did re-sign, let me bring it up here. Yeah, and the right tackle, and they had someone else. They signed a linebacker.
Eric Hendricks.
Thank you. Eric Hendricks, 2 years, $13 million. Trey Pipkins, 3 years, $21 million. Players that valuable. Don't get me wrong. You need them. You need a starting right tackle. You need a linebacker upgrade for sure. But this is a team that, once again, struggled against the run. They came up short in the playoffs, had a huge lead against the Jaguars, and they blew it. You're in a division with the Broncos, who have improved, the Chiefs, who were world champions, and the Raiders are the Raiders. But regardless, 2 other teams that are really good and the better conference. And you have Justin Herbert, who is not going to be on a rookie contract for that much longer. We spoke about it, I think, last football episode, that the 2 moves they can make that would save them the most cap would be cutting Keenan Allen and Khalil Mack. And those are 2 of their better players. So it becomes a bit complicated for the Chargers to try to improve this team when they don't have as much flex cap or cap space flexibility. And also the free agents out there, most of the high impact ones are off the board now. Javon Hargrave would have been someone that's perfect that could come in and solidify that defensive line. So for a team that is in win now mode, especially on a coach that we said it last year, but this year again is probably on the hot seat, you would expect them to be more aggressive, and they haven't been.
My loser is the Las Vegas Raiders. You trade Derek Carr. Now you bring in Jimmy Garoppolo. That's a downgrade. Respect to Jimmy Garoppolo, but let's be real. Jimmy Garoppolo is just who he is. He's not going to elevate a team. He's just going to keep them afloat. And, of course, you have Tay. Now you bring in Jacoby Myers for 3 years, 33. I didn't hate that, but I hated it with the idea of you decided to replace Darren Waller with Jacoby Myers. That's where you lose me. And I hope you were trolling on Twitter. I really do hope you were trolling with the Darren Waller to the Giants. That's not really moving you. Maybe a couple years ago, that really wasn't moved. That would have moved you, but
he just
now
gets hurt a lot.
It's only for the fact of, no doubt.
But if he's healthy.
100%.
Yeah.
Last season, he couldn't stay healthy. The year before that, he did play I believe it was 11 games, was not as productive. But what we can understand is that Darren Waller is a significant upgrade to the New York Giants of what they've had. So that was a W in its own right. But for the Raiders, what did you really do this offseason to get better? The defense needed help. You really didn't address that. The offensive line was solid, of course. You really didn't need to touch that. But with the number 7 pick, there's a strong possibility that you still miss out on the cream of the crop quarterback. And that was their hope. I'm assuming that if the Raiders wanted to land their potential quarterback of the future, unless you're trading up to number 3 to acquire one of these quarterbacks, because 2 of them are going to be gone with the 1st and 2nd pick, no doubt about it. Unless you're trading with the Arizona Cardinals, you're seemingly screwed at 7.
Yeah.
So really, I look at the Raiders. I understand that the talent that they have on this offense outside of the quarterback is significant. And I don't want to disrespect Jimmy like he's a bum. Jimmy is not a bum. He is an average, a strong average quarterback, if that makes any sense. He's one of the better average quarterbacks that you can have. But really, the Raiders did nothing this offseason to get better.
Died at one of the better average quarterbacks. It's perfect, but it's
okay,
just like
thank you. I'm glad you can
like that's
understand
that's
where I'm coming
what we're
from.
doing right now with the Raiders.
Yeah. My loser is the Arizona Cardinals. Kind of a little bit of what you were saying. You know, they got Jonathan Gannon to kind of persuade guys to come to the team, kind of be that tampering type guy that can come in and bring guys. They've missed out on a lot of the Eagles guys that they thought they would get. You know, they lost Byron Murphy. They lost Zach Allen. They've only was able to get Kaiser White. You know, so a team who they thought they was in the Bradbury sweepstakes, they couldn't do it. TJ Edwards, they couldn't do it. They haven't been able to finesse any of the Eagles players that weren't on the Eagles to come to the team. And getting Gannon, you would assume that he would have that type of pull, that leverage to bring guys over. That. And it's not looking too ideal for them. So for me, the Cardinals, and they're still, I think they're still
Kaiser White.
That's what you said.
I said that, yeah. They're still in a comfortable position, especially with the draft and the way they are in the selection. But in terms of free agency, you know, they're not a big time free agency where they're bringing in big names, but even these names who aren't big time names, they still aren't able to bring in guys. So for me, the loser is definitely Arizona.
And you have Watt retiring, Hopkins probably getting traded. The Cardinals could also be looking at this as a rebuilding year.
But they're in the CJ sweepstakes. They're trying to convince him, and if that falls over, that's another guy you lost. You know,
listen, I think the Cardinals, Jonathan Gannon, that's going to be a complete failure.
Oh shit!
I think
this year's going to be bad. They could trade. I think this is the perfect trade down spot for them, though. Someone's going to be desperate for a quarterback, trade up to number 3.
This year will suck.
But I agree with you, Drew. Raiders are losers, and it gave me the start yesterday. It was too much to tweet. It was too much words to tweet. I couldn't find the right way to word it, and that got me in trouble earlier with the tweet I had too.
It did.
So I wanted to say this on the show. Notice how the Raiders with Josh McDaniels, Derek Carr called out the team during the season. So did Devontae Adams. Josh Jacobs, when Darren Waller gets traded, says shit's sad for real. He tweets it. Devontae Adams, after Jimmy G is signed, says, if we haven't talked in the last 3 weeks, don't hit me about anything.
About Rodgers.
And then Kelsey Plum goes out and says Josh McDaniels was not invited to our wedding, Darren Waller and Kelsey Plum's wedding. It seems like the players in Vegas don't like Josh McDaniels, which should have been obvious when they signed him as a head coach because he failed in Denver, yet everybody was blaming Derek Carr. Derek Carr got all of the blame when it's clear that these players don't like Josh McDaniels. I mean, Devontae Adams went to the Raiders to play with Derek Carr. They cut Derek Carr a year later. Josh Jacobs got tagged, and Darren Waller, they could have traded him a while ago when his value was high. They traded him for a 3rd-round pick, and this when his value was probably the lowest it could have been.
Yep.
And what are the Raiders doing? The Raiders signed Jimmy Garoppolo, who in a division with Russell Wilson, Herbert, and Mahomes is not going to do anything. Their defense is still a question mark. You signed Jacoby Myers to be your what? Wide receiver number 1, because I think Devontae Adams might request a trade. And
that'd be crazy.
And even then, that team is not going to do anything in the AFC. So I just look at the Raiders, look at what Josh McDaniels has done. And the reason why the Raiders are one of the most dysfunctional organizations is because they pick guys like Josh McDaniels over a guy like Derek Carr when it comes to seniority and superiority. I think that the Raiders, this Josh McDaniels tenure is going to fail bad. It's going to flop. And we're going to look at this as another Raiders failure of the past 20 years. They've had a lot, but that's what's going to happen with this team. On to the NFC East. Which team has made the best offseason moves? Now, I'm going to rattle off the teams, and you guys are going to let me know who you have as an early favorite to come out this division.
Okay.
The Eagles lost Slay. They cut him. They lost Hargrave, Marcus Epps, T.J. Edwards, Kaiser White, Andre Dillard, Isaac Samalu, Miles Sanders, and C.J. are still free agents. They gained Rashad Penny, who when healthy's elite. They re-signed Graham, and Jason Kelsey's coming back. The Cowboys re-signed Donovan Wilson, Leighton Vander Esch. They tagged Pollard, and they traded for Stephon Gilmore. The Giants re-signed Sterling Shepard on a very cheap deal. They signed Bobby Okereke, and they traded a third-round pick for Waller. And the Commanders signed Nick Gates, Andrew Wiley, 2 starting offensive linemen. They re-signed Deron Payne, just signed Jacoby Brissett. They claimed Cam Dancer off of waivers. We'll see what he does for them. And they signed Cody Barton from the Seattle Seahawks. Now, looking at all the moves these teams made, who's your early favorite to win the NFC East? Now, Dehls, now Riv, you guys are both Eagles guys.
Ever in doubt?
Jalen Hurts. He's Eagles.
Are you still going with the Philadelphia Eagles number 1?
Is there ever in doubt?
You tell me. You're the Eagles guy. I'm just Jalen Hurts guy.
I think we're the favorites still. I think because you got to think about it. Like, we were unquestioned the best team in the NFC last year. I think from start to finish, we finished out as the best team in the NFC. In terms of the Giants, I don't think they've made enough moves to compare to us. I think we beat them so bad last year that these moves doesn't really move the needles. And I know we lost a lot, but people have to remember we have so much depth in a lot of those positions outside of secondary. We don't have a lot of depth there, but in terms of defensive line, in bringing Kelsey back was huge. We have so much depth on defensive line, offensive line, running backs that losing those guys isn't that big of a deal because we could just plug and play. And then, of course, bringing back Bradbury was huge. Gilmore to the Cowboys definitely scares me a little bit because Gilmore was still solid, especially being a number 2 next to Trevon Diggs, who's one of the best corners in the league. Gilmore is still a really good corner. But for me, with Pollard possibly missing some time next year, they cut Zeke. It's still CD. I'm not too worried about Michael Gallup and the boys next to CD. I think the Eagles, in terms of Giants, Daniel Jones is good, Shepard is good, but they still don't have a number 1. Waller's injury concern is a big problem. For me, I still think the Eagles are the number 1 team to beat in the NFC. I think because we still maintain to keep our offense, which is one of the most high-power offenses in the league. And defensively, our defensive line is still going to be great. The secondaries might be in a little bit of trouble, but I think our offense will be able to carry a lot of games.
And if you were to rank them 1 to 4 division, how do you think it's going to pan out?
I think it still goes Eagles, Cowboys, Giants, Washington.
Now, Drew, you're the wild card here. The Giants made a big time. They made a big time trade getting Darren Waller.
Yeah.
Now, the question, we were going to have a Giant-specific topic, so I guess I'll just ask it now. Does Darren Waller solve their number 1 option at receiver problem?
It doesn't, especially not at this point in time in Darren Waller's career. We understand how great he was for those 2 seasons with the Raiders, absolutely. But these last 2 years, it simply just has not been the Darren Waller that we were accustomed to early on in his tenure with the Raiders. I still think they do need another option out wide. I think that whether they decide to address that in the draft or if potentially D-Hop is still on the table, who knows? I would have liked them to be suitors for potentially DJ Moore, but of course, when you're getting the number 1 overall pick, it's understandable that DJ Moore would part ways with the team as well. But I think that Darren Waller was a great start to what Giants want to accomplish in terms of filling out that offense in the skill positions. But no, this does not solve their problem. To talk about the Eagles, you mentioned it. You guys have great depth. Absolutely. And yes, I'm not a huge advocate, not even any means, of letting Big Play Slay get released and letting him hit the open market. But it's understood that they do have the number 10 overall pick. And more likely than not, they're going to select a cornerback to pair next to Bradbury. I think that so long as this offense is going to continue to be led by Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, bringing in Rashad Penny, who, yes, has been hurt, but understood that when he's healthy, he is good as hell. Rashad Penny is underrated because, yes, he is injury prone. He's missed a lot of time, but it's understood when he's on the field, he's extremely efficient. And we put that in the backfield with Jalen Hurts, who will allow any running back to succeed. We saw with Miles Sanders. I'm all right letting him go because Rashad Penny, if he could stay healthy, that is a more than fine replacement, if you ask me. I think this defense will be okay, given the fact that this draft pick is really high. To talk about the Cowboys, I'm not willing to put them over the Eagles yet until I see what they decide to do at the second wide receiver. I understand that their offense is already going to be a great offense regardless, but to solidify themselves as the team to beat in the NFC East, they need a number 2 option at wide receiver. I've been an advocate of Dalton Schultz. Who knows what's going to happen with him in free agency? CeeDee Lamb is that wide receiver 1. Tony Pollard, you mentioned, is going to miss some time, but they need another option out wide. Their cornerback duo becomes a top 3 cornerback duo in the league. Stephon Gilmore and Trayvon Diggs, unbelievable tandem. Their defense was great last year. The rush defense struggled at times, but they were able to figure it out when need be. Not to talk about the Giants, the Commanders, they still need a quarterback. So that's why you can't really have them in this discussion, although their defense is all world. It's a fantastic unit, and that's without Chase Young being present last season. But to talk about the Giants, they did a great job of trying to address some of their holes on the defense, bringing in Bobby Okereke. That was a great move for them, but I still think that they should be in the big play sleigh. Sweepstakes. They need help in the secondary. Adoree was great last year. Of course, McKinney in secondary and as a safety is phenomenal, but you need a true X cornerback, and that would be big play Slay. Would be interesting to see if he wants to play Philly 2 times a year. But to wrap up, it's got to be the Eagles. It's the Cowboys, the Giants.
Wow. No Zeke.
Listen,
he was thinking about it too. He was thinking about it.
I thought this was gonna be more fun, more energetic, but listen, all you guys are very predictable. You don't want to go against the curve. Eagles.
I haven't given my prediction.
Okay, give your prediction.
We know your prediction.
So go ahead.
I think.
Is it confirmed Pollard's missing time?
I mean, it's just seeming
that
I
think he'll be back for the season.
For the fact that he got injured so late, for him to be ready week 1 would be shocking to me.
I don't think it's like a year-long injury though.
But I thought wasn't it an ACL?
No.
He broke his leg.
It's a tibula, I believe.
That's a long injury.
Yeah.
Well, you say
better though.
Wait, Joel, but how are you saying we're going against the curve when we know you're going to pick the Cowboys to be 1? That's like pretty obvious.
It's 3-month injury.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Oh, so perfect.
I apologize. I thought that I
thought the tibula was much worse.
No, he broke his fibula, which is the smaller bone in your shin.
Now listen, Riv.
You'll have Cowboys at 1. We got it.
I'm going to just say this about the Eagles. When it comes to the Eagles, I think all the positions they lost, it can be replaced. Slay, if you draft and trade up maybe for Christian Gonzalez, you could replace him. Obviously, he's an all-pro player, but I think that would be a good move for them. Javon Hargrave, it's very hard to replace. You have to hope Jordan Davis takes a leap. Marcus Epps can be replaced. TJ Edwards can be replaced. They're planning on it with the Kobe Dean. Andre Dillard can be replaced. Samalu, that's going to be tough. He's going to be a huge loss. But when talking about the Eagles, I don't think their regression is going to necessarily come within the players on the roster. I think it's losing Shane Steichen. That is huge. Yeah. And their schedule now becomes very tough. Mm-hmm. Talk about the Giants. Darren Waller, 2 years ago, this would have been a splash move. In 2023, it's a droplet. But it's a droplet that can turn into a puddle. And what I mean by that is...
Can you stop with this bullshit analogy?
Yeah, I don't get it.
Brian Dable went to the Giants. Guess what happened?
Can you stop?
It's just funny.
Saquon's coming on a down year. Brian Dable goes to the Giants, and Saquon is second in comeback player of the year. Daniel Jones was
all world,
a regular guy, and he's fooled a lot of people into thinking he's great because of Brian Dable.
Don't talk to me. You're about to get me to curse. I'm trying to stop cursing on this podcast.
Darren Waller,
you're a bastard because you were on the fucking hype train. There I go. And I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry.
In his second year in the NFL,
because you were on board and you fell off.
I saw 2 more years of Jones and fell off.
You were along for the ride. And then I started pushing his DJ narrative, and you fell off. It's sickening, and it makes me upset. That's all I have to say.
That's not facts.
And I'm mad at you.
We were wrong. Me and Dez were both wrong about Daniels in the offseason.
No. You at least gave him respect, and that's why
he's good.
Don't let me finish, damn it. All right, you were cool. I was cool with you, and then you suddenly just have this complete 180 switch, and it pisses me off. At least he has the decency to admit that he was wrong. But then let me not even say that, because then now he's seeing he has no weaknesses, and now back. Imagine saying this is your franchise quarterback.
He ain't him.
You guys really just tick me off.
I want to talk about Darren Waller. Darren Waller, we know he had elite seasons in 2019 and in 2020.
It was great.
2021, 2022 were down seasons.
Yeah.
But what the Giants want to do, I believe they were in on Hopkins and more, but they understood the price was too high. They're going to play a lot of 12 personnel next year. They're going to have a lot of 2 tight end sets. And that's what Daniel Jones thrives in the best. From 11 personnel, which is 3 wide receiver sets, he was 15th in EPA per attempt, 20th in yards per attempt, 23rd in success rate, 10th in completion percentage on 295 attempts. From 12 personnel, so 2 tight end sets, he was 7th in EPA per attempt, 4th in yards per attempt, 12th in success rate, and 3rd in completion percentage. Darren Waller will be on the field a lot with Daniel Bellinger. And the wide receivers on the outside will be Shepard and Hodgins, at least as of now. I think Shepard, they got him on a minimum contract. It's basically a prove-it deal. And I understand that because Shepard's coming off a serious injury, and he's been injured for the majority of his career. But Sterling Shepard, I think, at his best, is a number 2, like a solid one.
And that's Daniel's boy. That's something that I've mentioned to you guys multiple times.
So I think Brian
he
Dable,
is, when he's healthy, he is a wide receiver too.
Brian Dable can turn. I think that Darren Waller could have a 1,000-yard season with Brian Dable. I want to make that clear. Okay. I think he can have it. And in fact, if there was a line out of me to bet on it, I'd probably bet that it does. Because the only way it doesn't happen is if he gets injured. If he's healthy, he's going to have that. And then he becomes your 1 option. Shepard is your 2 when you go like that. The running game becomes better. So there are some upsides to this move.
Shepard
the Commanders don't have a quarterback. When healthy is, maybe he comes back different from this injury.
Low end or high end?
Low end.
But when that is Daniel Jones's favorite target when he's healthy on the field. When he's on the field, he sees Sterling all the time. Just go look at the targets, really.
But let's make it clear, boys.
Oh, yeah? He'd probably be your wide receiver, too.
He wouldn't.
No, he most definitely would be.
He's better than Elijah Moore.
Okay. But let's make it clear, boys.
You're lucky I like you.
The team that's winning the NFC East in 2023
the same team you picked to go to the Super Bowl
is the Dallas Cowboys.
There we go.
The Dallas Cowboys are going to win the division. There's no doubt. They have the second place schedule. They don't have the number one place schedule. Dak Prescott, don't forget who that man is.
We forgot.
Don't forget who Dak Prescott. No, I doubt his primetime ability. But in those regular season 1 p.m., 4 p.m. slots, he is amazing. Tony Pollard, he's a top 10 back in the league. Dalton Schultz will be replaced in the draft. This is a very tight end heavy draft. I think they replace him in the draft. His price tag will be too high. I think there's a chance they can trade for one of those high-end receivers. Maybe D-Hop comes to the Cowboys. But you have Gilmore. Okay. You have Trayvon Diggs. The defensive line, Micah Parsons, DeMarcus Lawrence. Linebackers, they re-signed Leighton Vander Esch. The secondary, J-Ron Kearse. We're talking about Donovan Wilson. Anthony Brown is coming back from injury.
That's huge.
I mean, this defense has been a top 5 defense the past 2 seasons. Dan Quinn has stayed, which means that they'll be a top 5 unit again. They just got better. If that offense can have a little bit more splash and pizzazz,
but that's
this team is easily winning the division.
Easily?
No.
Easily.
No.
Right, you don't hold up. Stop.
You
don't get tired of this propaganda.
I don't.
I picked the
disagree.
Eagles win the division last year.
Yeah, but you also picked the Dallas Cowboys to go to the Super Bowl. You said there's no doubt in your mind.
They lost to the Niners.
I agree with him though. If they were
easily, that's my only.
If they would have faced the Eagles, if they would have faced the Eagles,
if they get D-Hop, we could have a conversation.
But that's why they get D-Hop. They're favorites in the NFC.
Wait, hold on, stop.
I want to finish
I'm sorry, but we're talking about D-Hop and CeeDee Lamb, right? As if we don't have AJ Brown and Smitty.
D-Hop and CeeDee Lamb's better.
Okay, I'm not saying there isn't, but we're acting like it's a big. It's like this, bro. It's
the Cowboys' defense is better than your defense.
That's fine. Our quarterback is much better than Dallas
Jalen
quarterback.
Hurts is better than
much better.
He's not much better.
Much
than
better.
No,
Our offense is better than the Cowboys.
Please respect Dakota Prescott.
You don't even respect Dakota Prescott.
What do you mean? I don't respect.
You just
Dakota
said he's
Prescott.
not good in primetime. That's important. That's literally they're the Dallas Cowboys. They play on primetime. That is very important. And you said you only like elite quarterbacks. He's not elite. But you like Dak.
He's definitely great, though. He's not elite. He's great.
He's not Jalen.
Dak Prescott's a great
He's not Jalen.
Well, Jalen had 1 year. Let's see what he does with a
and that 1 year is a Super Bowl. Dak has had multiple years. He's never been.
Oh, God forbid he lost to the fucking Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes.
What doesn't Dak have like 2 playoff wins?
Now, listen, Riv, I know you're an Eagles fan, so you're going to be very biased towards this. But objectively
probably-
speaking, we know the Cowboys are going to win the NFC East.
I don't know. See, if you're see, that's
It's
what you
gonna
lose
be,
me.
It's between those two teams, and it's very hard to go back to back to win a division. So I could understand where you're coming from. The easily part makes me think that
me.
the
So we
Cowboys should win 2 or 3 more games than
Yeah,
the Eagles.
I
It
think
should
we
be a
close.
conversation.
We give no chance to the Giants winning the division.
We don't. No, that's
No,
we can agree on
Washington-
that.
Washington
That's
is 0. New York is like 10%.
No,
and then we got 40, 40.
no. Washington is 0. Giants are 0. It's between the Cowboys and the
What do you
Eagles.
mean Giants are 0?
You won't. You don't
It's
have. You have
small
no
chance.
chance to
No,
win the
I'll
division.
say,
It's
I'll
not
say
zero.
this, and
The
this is
quarterback
why
is Daniel
I
Jones.
agree with Joel. The reason why, right where we stand today, you can't put the Cowboys above the Eagles is because they don't have that wide receiver too, which is why I'm under this belief I have the Eagles, Cowboys, Giants, Commanders. However, he makes a very valid point. If you bring in a strong wide receiver
becomes easily?
opposite, it doesn't become easily, but I would favor the Cowboys.
That's fair. The
But that's
easily
why
part is
where
what
we
lost
stand
me.
right now,
Yeah.
that's where I have to push back on Joel because there's no way that where it stands right now offensively with the Cowboys that you can comfortably put them over the Eagles. But if they make that big splash move at wide receiver, I'm with Joel. The Cowboys could win
So
this
easily.
division. It's not. That's
It's not
he
easily.
loses me there.
It's
And
a
that's
toss-
the, that's the
also-
only drop back I
that's
have.
a
It's like
toss-up.
easily is like
but
a
you
little
also
crazy.
understand who he is. He works in areas of extremes, which is fine. That's what makes him special.
No, if you get D-Hop, the conversation is much better. But at the end of the day,
The conversation
and-
it becomes a clearing.
I don't see this is where you lose me because
God.
it's just not. That's
another
just not
one,
possible.
Another a
We-
person that might become available that no one really talks about is Chris Godwin. That's one of those guys
Oh,
that Chris
that
Godwin.
definitely doesn't move the needle for me.
Godwin's really good.
Smitty's better than Godwin.
No, he's not.
Smitty's better than Godwin.
Respectfully,
Smitty's
he's
better than
not.
Godwin.
I don't know.
He's
Smitty's-
two different types of receivers.
Smitty's
That's
better than
close.
Godwin.
Are
Godwin's,
they?
Godwin's
Godwin's
a
really good.
slot.
I guess Smitty does play on the outside.
He can
He
play
can
both.
play this. He can play
Yeah.
both.
But it's
More
also
dynamic.
this
I love
this
Smitty.
upcoming season, teams change a ton year to year, but the NFC East has the hardest schedule. The Eagles have the hardest, Giants third hardest, Cowboys fifth hardest, and Washington eighth hardest. So it's not gonna be
Oh,
like
in the league?
last season. Yes.
Oh, so
where
we all have a
the-
hard schedule. I
The
love
Eagles
it.
were gonna go through, and even the Cowboys and Giants
The
all
frauds
had
will
very
come
easy
out.
schedule. Exactly, but that's
What about
why
the Dallas?
The frauds will come out.
Because
that's why
Dallas
you have
was-
to
hold on.
go with. That's why I understand the Giants having no chance because they don't have
Them
an
boys
elite
in
type of
green
quarterback.
going to be reeled as frauds, and it's not the Jets.
But I also believe in the Eagles. Listen, they lost a ton of guys, but you have the 10th overall pick. You still have your own first round pick. And Howie Roseman's going to fill these holes. I think there's a small chance he trades up. I think it's a better chance he trades down to try to recoup some draft picks. He could hit on guys in the second, third, fourth round, even obviously first round picks he could hit on, or trade one of those first round picks for a proven guy to really expand the Super Bowl window. Just to talk about the Giants real quick about Waller, because I think that's really the most interesting thing that's happened so far. Darren Waller, elite a couple of seasons ago, but he's still, without a doubt, the best weapon Daniel Jones has ever had. And I think that's important. Pair that with Brian Dable, his creativity, his ability to get guys like Isaiah Hodgins to come in day one and get him wide open. Darren Waller, at his size, his speed, he's going to be a mismatch problem every week for opposing defenses. His injury history is definitely concerning, but especially if you're the GM, Joe Shane, you gave Daniel Jones this 4 years, but really 2 years, $80 million contract. You have to prove to people that that wasn't a mistake. The biggest thing you can do is go out and get a big body receiver, someone that Daniel Jones can win finally down the field with, because that was probably his biggest knock this season is his explosive plays, 20-plus yards were not there amongst the league low in terms of those type of plays. Darren Waller is someone who could track the ball down the field. He could win one-on-one battles that he didn't have previously. So while he still might not be the elite tight end he once was, I think he's still, without a doubt, pretty comfortably a top 5 tight end and the best weapon that Daniel Jones has had, and it'll help him pretty extremely.
So question, Drew, and then we're gonna move on to the J Love versus Justin Fields, and then top 5 quarterback tandems. Now, Drew,
Yeah, he's wilding.
I gotta get out of here dangerously soon.
and yeah, I know it won't be long.
Okay.
So
It might.
Drew, one more question.
There's 12 minutes before he has to go.
No.
Go ahead.
Don't worry, Drew. What are the odds with Daniel Jones not having Darren Waller? He now becomes at least equal to Dak Prescott in terms of quarterback rankings, or better than Jalen Hurts.
He needs more than okay.
Do you think there's any chance? What do you think? What do you think the odds are?
Jalen Hurts is unattainable. That's simply unattainable. Dak Prescott still has better weapons, has the better offensive line than Daniel Jones does. It's going to need more than just Darren Waller to elevate him over Dak Prescott. It's really that simple. I'm not going to sit here and over-exaggerate this move because I still am under the belief the Giants need to do more. whether it's in the draft, they draft JSN, whether it's still be active and trying to acquire DeAndre Hopkins, especially if Dallas is strongly in pursuit of acquiring him as well. I still need to see moves made by the Giants offensively, whether it's offensive line and wide receiver, before you can make that type of statement. But I still believe Daniel Jones will have a successful season this upcoming year.
Okay, now on to Jordan Love versus Justin Fields. Jordan Love versus Justin Fields, who will have a better season next year? I'm curious to hear your guys' answers. Now, I know Jordan Love has found this. I mean, Drew has found this newfound love for Jordan Love.
It's because he's making me money. Absolutely. I'm just
Dehls, I'm not sure where he says Jordan Love. You know, he's been very disrespectful to him in the past. And if you want to be on the Jordan Love chain, you have to write me a written apology that I read on the show because you, sir, are not valid. Okay. And Riv, I don't know where you stand.
I'm glad I got away with that.
I think no, Drew's he's still on the hook.
Bro, what do you mean?
Because you was hating on Jordan Love a lot.
Bro, look at my cash out value on him. Come on.
Show the world.
I'm here.
Show the world.
Nah, they don't need to know that.
So now, Riv, Justin Fields, Jordan Love, who has a better season this upcoming year?
I think Fields comfortably, not because Jordan Love isn't good, but I just think when you account for rushing yards,
beloved. That's hard, yo.
I think when you account for rushing yards, rushing touchdowns, and then passing yards, passing touchdowns, I think Justin Fields will have a better year statistically. Plus, you have to mention DJ Moore, Darnell Mooney. The offensive line is getting better. The receivers is getting better. They still have draft capital. For Jordan Love, it's just about can they build more wide receivers around him? But I don't think they'll be able to get a number one faster than how the Bears just got a number one. So I think with Fields, he just has the advantages. You know, he has a better offense. He has the weapons. He's better with his feet. He's better mobile. They run the offense strictly through him. He's kind of like a Jalen Hurts in a sense where he runs the ball and he passes.
Lamar Jackson. That's
more like
really
he's just a dual threat machine. So I think Justin Fields comfortably just because of the fact that when you account for rushing yards and rushing touchdowns, Fields is pretty much going to clear Jordan Love.
Who's in a better position? I believe it is Justin Fields. That's not going to take away from how I feel Love will perform. I think he will have a successful season, but nothing outrageous, nothing superstar breakout. No, I think he's just going to have a firm season that the Packers are going to realize, hey, we can move forward with this kid. But why it's Justin Fields is because, one, he's already shown us with his legs, he's one of the most special talents in the National Football League. We've seen progressions of his passing where it could be a little bit better, but we've seen him progress as a passer. But now you add DJ Moore to the mix. Darnell Mooney now becomes a little bit healthy. Claypool now has a full offseason with the Bears. Potentially he can get himself incorporated into the offense. Offensive line definitely needs some help, but the running back position, yes, Khalil Herbert will be that guy, but why it's a luxury for whoever's in that backfield is because you have Justin Fields. And Justin Fields opens up the run game for legitimately any running back who's like they're similar to how Lamar does over there in Baltimore, where he made Donta Foreman relevant at the running back position. The great thing about Chicago is that Khalil Herbert's actually a solid back. And so they will continue to have success there. So I believe that given the weapons that are now around him, that hopefully Darnell Mooney is healthy. We didn't mention Cole Kmet. Cole Kmet had his breakout last season. I anticipate him to be a decent part of this offense as well. I think Justin Fields is just simply primed to have the better year.
And I don't think Khalil Herbert would be the only running back on that roster. They have a bunch of draft picks.
Travis
This is
Homer.
a running back. I mean, Homer, but it's a running back heavy draft class. You're going to have a lot of guys go on day two who are going to be really talented. Guys like Devon Achane, Gibbs, probably day two pick. Sean Tucker out of Syracuse is really good too. But listen, I think Jordan Love is going to have a solid season. He showed out against Philly, limited sample size, but he showed definitely growth from his game against Kansas City the previous year. But I got to go with my guy. Got to go with Justin Fields. And Justin Fields isn't perfect. Last season, 31st in complete among the league leaders in turnover-worthy plays. But it is important to note, I mentioned this on the last podcast, that when he was targeting Darnell Mooney, he was much more accurate, 69% completion percentage compared to Velez Jones and Equanimous St. Brown and Dante Pettis. Like, these are just guys that are depth pieces, and for most teams are wide receiver 4s and 5s, and they were wide receiver 2s and 3s for the most of the season for the Chicago Bears. So I think if Justin Fields should improve as a passer, getting DJ Moore in, and then his rushing ability, I mean, he's a guy that at any play can take it 70 yards and get a touchdown. We saw multiple times last season. The fact that he is so explosive as a rusher only now opens it up more for the running backs, but for the passing game too, that you're going to have to commit somebody every single play to watch him as either quarterback spy or containing him, and maybe that limits the pass rush a little bit too. I know the Bears offensive line doesn't get as much credit I think it deserves. It was ranked 14th by PFF last year. His probably number one thing outside of accuracy has to be pocket presence, getting the ball out in time. There is no reason for Justin Fields, who is arguably the most mobile and athletic quarterback in the NFL, to also lead the league in sacks taken. that is the number one thing you could look at and say, if you improve on this, this offense could take a step up. And I think it's finally time to say it's fair to expect wins out of Justin Fields and this Bears team, because for the previous 2 seasons, Nick Foles and Andy Dalton won 4 games. Justin Fields has won 5 games. And we're expecting Fields to be this franchise guy. Exactly. And only 1 or 2 his rookie year.
I need 6.
So this is, I think, now fair with the draft picks they do have in DJ Moore and an improving offensive line to say this is the time Fields has to take a step up.
Justin Fields was an elite rusher. As a passer, he did struggle still. The pocket presence was not good. You mentioned the high sack rate. Normally, quarterbacks that have the career of Justin Fields at the start don't end up being successful quarterbacks. But I think there are enough signs to point to Justin Fields trending upwards, and that's why I have belief. But guess what? And this is, of course, NFC East topic. I knew where you guys going. I knew where you guys going with this one too. I was hoping for Drew. Maybe he would be on the Jordan Love side.
I gave a little love. I did.
We all picked the Eagles.
But this is the truth. This is the truth.
God's honest truth.
Jordan Love, if he doesn't have a fantastic season, it will not warrant moving off of Aaron Rodgers.
Oh,
he has to have a fantastic year.
What is that though?
I think at least
4,000,
24. I think 22 to 26 touchdown passes, and 3,500 plus yards.
So Tua was fantastic this year.
Damn. Not wrong.
He got him.
Was he fantastic statistically? Yes. When you watch him, no, I wasn't.
No, I want a handshake.
The eye test wasn't there.
I never said statistically he wasn't fantastic, but eye test, I don't see it. Jordan Love.
Wait, so Jordan Love has to do what?
I got your ass.
When Jordan,
he should bring up the EPA.
You said 20 to 26.
Oh no, I know.
Yes.
I know.
Might be one.
Trust me, I know.
Jordan Love.
Away, that too.
I look at the Packers, and quite frankly, the best quarterback between these two might end up winning the division. The Vikings have made some moves, but they're still going to be in the mix. The Lions are going to be in the mix too. But you look at the Packers; they still have Aaron Jones, AJ Dillon. I think Christian Watson has wide receiver number 1 upside.
I agree.
I trust Matt LaFleur. I think they've been developing Jordan Love. And I think Jordan Love is going to have a fantastic season. After this year, we're going to look at him and say, he's a top 15 quarterback. Wow, he's so good. He's going to make throws so amazing that our jaw drops. That's how good Jordan Love is going to be. And I'm a fan of Justin Fields. I think the Bears have put him in a position to succeed. But I got to go with Jordan Love. I got to go with the wild card. He reminds me a lot of Geno Smith before the season. Nobody saw it coming, but it came. And I think Jordan Love's gonna come. He's gonna go crazy this year.
He's so serious.
Fields on a really shitty passing year, it's still at 17 touchdowns.
Passing?
Yeah. And Jordan Love, you said Jordan Love, for him to be fantastic, he has to get what, 20, 26?
22 or 26.
22, 20. If Justin Fields even improves slightly, that's like 20.
I think Justin Fields will have a great year, but don't sleep on Jordan Love. I'm going with Jordan Love.
And not even account for rushing TDs.
Jordan Love has been my guy since the 2019 NFL draft.
You've been waiting.
I'll be damned if we have a segment on him 3 years later, and I'm not going with him as my guy.
Justin Fields had 8 rushing touchdowns.
Yeah, he's dope.
And how many rushing? 1,100?
Yeah, some shit.
1,100. What are we doing here? This isn't a conversation.
But if Jordan Love, like we're expecting to come in as a better passer, it's not crazy.
And listen, don't rule out. I'll say this: don't rule out the Packers winning the NFC North. That defense is still great.
It's up in the air.
That defense, if Jordan Love can have that offense at a good level,
like that,
the Packers can win.
To be fair, though, if Aaron didn't win it, what gives me confidence that Jordan Love was going to win it?
If the Packers bring in more receiving options, then that can happen.
Okay.
They'd have to bring in like a vet though, probably, because they already have a couple
or draft a stud.
Relying on
but their defense is great.
Some young guys.
If Jordan Love can just do his thing, they'll be in the hunt.
Do we know if Bakhtiari's coming back yet?
He is coming back. I believe he is. Is he a free agent?
I think
I
think Detroit is the heavy favorites, and I think Detroit Lions in the division.
Heavy favorite?
I wouldn't say heavy, but they're definitely my favorite.
Well, listen, I think every team in the NFC North has a chance.
Yeah,
but there's no favorite.
I think the Lions are the favorite.
The Vikings
favorite.
The Vikings.
Who else would be the favorites? The Green Bay doesn't have a quarterback. We don't know what Jordan Love.
The Vikings still have a better roster, top to bottom, than the Lions.
Okay, all right, you're right. I slept on the Vikings.
Healthy Bakhtiari, Elkin Jenkins. Come on.
I just think people are tired of the Vikings, so it's like I guess so.
They had one good year and retired.
It's been this.
No, it's because we sat at this table with this guy.
Top 5 cornerback duos, and then Dehls going to get out of here because he has to go to work. I think for me, at least a top 3 is easy. When looking at the top cornerback duos, the tandems, Dolphins, Ramsey and Howard, Jets, Sauce and DJ Reed, Cowboys, Diggs and Gilmore. Am I disrespectful for saying everybody else is just not on this level?
No.
Who was the 3 again? Sauce, Reed, Ramsey,
It's
Howard.
Reed, Sauce, Gilmore, Diggs, Howard, Ramsey. That's top 3. I agree. Joel doesn't have him top 3. I'm outing him right now. He doesn't have it. I looked
Ramsey
over
and
his-
Howard?
Honestly, I forgot about when I did this list. It was prior
Who's your
to
list?
it.
Dehls?
He
Cook
has
up.
Ramsey and Howard
I have-
5. I'm snitching.
I
What's
added
wrong
him
with
to the
that?
list. But I also think Jair and Rasul Douglas, Howard didn't have a great year.
Yeah,
last
that's what I'm about to say.
season.
Statistically,
No,
what's wrong with
no,
that?
I understand that. Look, listen, I'm just
The
being a prick
potential is
right now
high.
to Joel.
It is
I'm being
for
a
sure.
prick, but it's understood that
Yeah,
yes,
'cause
this was his worst year.
When we came in here, we talking top 5. I was like, oh, I don't have Ramsey and Howard on my list. I was like, fuck. So I added them, and they're just 5th.
Yeah, let me see.
But I think that's fair. The other 2 I did have was Jair and Rasul Douglas, and also the Jerry Sneed and Trent McDuffie. I know McDuffie and Douglas play in the slot. If we want to do, exclusively boundary corners, okay. And Eric Stokes, you could throw in there, but he's coming off a down
So
year too.
my only jump back with it is I know they're not healthy all the time, but Baltimore's secondary statistically puts up a lot of better numbers.
They were in my honorable mention.
Than a few
Better
duos
numbers
we named.
is
No,
they
they're
target,
like a
they
shut-
target Marcus Peters a ton.
They're
He's just a ball hawk.
They're a shutdown secondary when they're healthy. They are. They're a shutdown secondary.
I'm not
So it's
disagreeing
like,
overly.
do they not get the nod for being in the 5?
But who's their second? You have Murphy. You saying Peters?
It's Marlon and Peters.
It's Marlins and Peters.
If you're saying specifically 2 corners,
I'm just-
I don't know. If
I'm
you
talking
take
about 2.
secondary into
I'm
account,
listening,
you're going to throw Marcus Williams and Kyle Hamilton. Then it's a different
I like
conversation.
the Jerry Sneed McDuffie pick a lot because I think Sneed is one of the better nickels in the game, and
Yeah.
I think McDuffie can turn into an elite corner,
He was
boundary
great
corner.
rookie season.
I look at the Ravens; they have a case. The Chargers, J.C. Jackson had too much of a down season for them to be mentioned.
Yeah.
The Bills, Trey White had a down season as well. I don't think they can be
Coming
mentioned
off
here.
injury.
The Falcons, A.J. Terrell had a down year.
Yeah.
Casey Hayward was injured. They can't be
Aging.
mentioned. Underrated sleeper, the Buccaneers, Jamel Dean and Carlton Davis. They are a very underrated tandem.
Is it more underrated than Desmond King and Derek Stingley?
Yes.
I don't know, man. Desmond King is a savage, and Derek Stingley, although did miss some time, did not give up a touchdown his rookie season. Started a little shaky to start his NFL career, but really became lockup.
Is that duo better than Denzel Ward and Greg Newsome?
Probably not.
Okay.
That's a good
I'm
duo.
saying underrated. I
Well, no,
look at Desmond
I'm
King
adding
and I
them
see Derek
into the
Stingley.
underrated conversation.
100%, I think they're no doubt though, because Ward is a
Ward
savage
is
in
a
his own right.
savage. Newsome is pretty good.
Was he injured last season or the year before? My amnesia's
He was
getting
banged
me.
up this year.
I think
he
it
just
was
got
this
his contract
season.
last offseason.
Yeah.
If
So
I'm
my 2, I'm sorry,
There we
Joel.
go.
Okay, cool. I have Jair and Eric Stokes. You mentioned Rasul Douglas. That's fine. Whichever one you want to have. That's how great they are as a secondary. Doesn't matter which one you have there. And number 5, I have Marshawn Lattimore and Paulson Adebo. Paulson Adebo in his sophomore season really made a name for himself. When Lattimore went down, Paulson Adebo really picked up the slack. Of course, Marshawn Lattimore is the cornerback in the building for the Saints, but nevertheless, Paulson Adebo deserves respect in his own right.
So, my top 5, number 5, I'm going with Jamel Dean and Carlton Davis, the Bucks,
Okay.
cornerback tandem. Number 4, Packers, Jair and Stokes. I really feel bad by leaving out the Seahawks one with Tariq Woolen and Kobe Bryant. I think they have a lot of upside. And Lattimore and Adebo, I think they're really good too. Number 3, Ramsey and Howard.
Absolutely.
Number 2, Sauce and DJ.
Who's
Number
your 4
1,
again?
I got Gilmore and Diggs. I think Gilmore and
Who-
Diggs is the
who-
best cornerback.
Joel,
tandem
who's
in
your
the
4 again? Who's your 4th?
It's not
Bro's
correct.
got a
I know
sauce
it's so
jersey on.
fake.
Jair
So
Stokes.
Let's go on.
fake.
Oh,
Well, you didn't have your boys at one?
Jersey.
No boys at
Oh
one?
my
league.
god!
I gotta be objective. They're number 2 though.
Oh, my
They could be number
God.
1. I think they could be number 1 though.
You really think they're number 1?
Trayvon Diggs and
Rank those 4 corners 1 through 4.
I think Sauce is the best cover corner in the league.
Reed's unfortunately 4 on that
Gilmore's
list,
better than
and that's
Reed.
with love and respect. He's 4.
Gilmore's really good. He's still really good.
It's probably Sauce.
old.
It's probably Sauce. You put Gilmore was unbelievable last season. Gilmore, Diggs, and then you have Reed, and that's with respect because Reed's great in his
Yes.
own right.
I think strictly coverage wise, if you want to shut down, you'll probably take Reed over Diggs, but Diggs' ball hawking ability is 1 of 1.
So we're all comfortable with the top 3, right?
Yeah, I would have Snead and McDuffie and Jair and you already mentioned that.
Snead
Yeah, I would
and
have
McDuffie,
Snead
okay.
and Duffy.
I have
in mine.
Green Bay at
So-
4 and Baltimore at 5.
So top 3 cornerback tandems in the NFL. You're 3-1.
Same as yours. Do you want me to list them?
Yes.
3-1. Ramsey and Howard at 3. Gilmore and Diggs at 2. Sauce and DJ Reed at 1.
My 3 is I have Xavier Howard, Jalen Ramsey. Number 2, I have Stephon Gilmore and Trayvon Diggs. And number 1, I have Reed and Sauce.
My 3 is Diggs and Gilmore at 3, Ramsey and Howard at 2, Sauce and Reeder at 1.
And honorable mentions for each of you guys.
My honorable mention is going to be Jair and Eric Stokes. Marshawn Lattimore and Paulson Adebo, and out of respect, because I like the future of these guys, Desmond King and Derek Stingley.
I'll go Marcus Peters, Marlon Humphreys, Denzel Ward, Greg Newsome, and Jair Alexander and Eric Stokes.
I had Jair and Rasul Douglas. I think he's a bit better, even though he plays in the slot. And then L'Jarius Sneed and Trent McDuffie.
I'm going with the Bucks. Honorable mention Jamel Dean and Carlton Davis. I like all your picks, so I'm not going to steal them. I like the Seahawks, Tariq Woolen and Kobe Bryant, and the Chiefs, McDuffie and Sneed a lot. I think they have a lot of upside, but those are the top cornerback tandems in the NFL. Last super chat, Paul Murray. FanDuel has New York Jets plus 1 passing touchdown in every game this season at plus 2,000. $100 bet pays 2,000. Should I take it?
Oh my God.
You're banking on Rodgers to throw a
That's
touchdown
hilarious
every
bet.
single game. Not insane. Listen, I only rock with Boom Fantasy with all due respect, so that's gonna have to be with one of y'all.
Listen, man, I don't disagree. All I'm gonna say is it's not a bad bet to take.
It isn't bad.
It's not a bad bet to take.
It isn't bad.
So that's gonna do it for this episode of the Pick a Side Podcast, episode 263. You guys can follow us on Twitter at Pick a Side Pod, on Instagram and TikTok at Pick a Side Podcast, and also help support our sponsors, Boom Fantasy, Mojo. We're going to be on playback tonight watching the Clippers and Warriors game, and AG1 Athletic Greens. Those sponsors keep us going and help us make content consistently. Thank you guys for everybody that watched live. We will see you next time.